Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Transatlantic Call-In Show. It is September 11th, 9/11 at 2 p.m. Central Time, and this is a show where you guys get to call in and talk to two trans people about all your questions, anything and everything trans. And I'm here today with Dr. Ben. How you doing, Dr. Ben?
I'm here.
Yeah.
You're here. Yep.
I feel ya. So I'm going to have a brief statement before we get rolling, but it's not going to be nearly as extensive as the one we had a couple weeks ago. So it happened again. Another school has faced a terrible tragedy. Yesterday in Colorado, several students lost their lives in a violent tragedy. Trump, for unknown reasons, finally decided to lower flags at half-mast over the political attack on Melissa Hortman from Minnesota a couple months ago. I don't know why he decided today was the day to start doing that, but I guess that's why it happened. No, obviously, you all know, you've all heard about Charlie Kirk yesterday, and many of you have also probably heard about the alleged transgender and fascist ideology engraved on the several bullet casings that were found. I refuse to engage in this endless dance of needing to condemn violence and to do it perfectly. I think it should be kind of assumed as a default that as a humanist network here, that we condemn violence in all its forms. Jimmy said last night that this is going to become the new, but do you condemn Hamas? And I think that's already been evident for anyone who's been engaging in this conversation in the last 24 hours. I refuse to play defense on this one when no matter what, none of these tragedies are the result of trans people or the fault of trans people or trans ideology. To the extent that such a thing exists, it's merely the belief that trans people are real and deserve to live unburdened by your feelings about us in society. Trans people bring life and joy and light into the world just like anyone else, and occasionally do bad things just like anyone else. Our trans elders broke chains of nonconformity that held so many down so that we could live more openly today than they did. And we have a lot more to offer the world. It's not our job to endlessly carry the burden of responsibility for an act that we as a community have no association with whatsoever. So we're going to be open to taking some calls on this today, but honestly, I would like it to be a little bit more of a passing background thought to the show. We're going to touch on it in the poll as well, but listen, our mission goes forward. We're still advocating for trans rights. We're still advocating for humanism. We're still advocating for a secular world, a pluralistic world that values all people and thinks that all people deserve well-being and dignity. So that's where I'm at. You have anything you want to tack onto there, Ben, before we jump to polls?
Nope. I
Awesome.
co-sign that.
Cool. Keeping it short and sweet.
Yep.
So, last week's poll read, should the DOJ violate the Second Amendment rights for trans Americans over last week's tragedy? 3% said yes and 97% said no, with 11,000 votes. I didn't really look that deeply into the yes votes. I think a lot of them are trolls, to be honest, because even the NRA came out in defense of trans rights following the DOJ's threats to make it so trans people couldn't own guns. And I said this last week when Lux and I were here. I was like, I honestly don't know what the result of all this is going to be, because these are two core pillar values of the conservative movement that are diametrically opposed in this case. That gun rights should not be abridged under any circumstances for any reason at all, and that trans people are bad and everything bad should happen to them. And so when it's like one of those things should be that we lose our gun rights, but also gun rights belong to everyone all the time, 100% of the time, no matter what. Like, I really don't know what the outcome is there. I honestly think that trans people get to maintain our gun rights in that situation. I think the NRA and the lobby has a lot of control, and I think it would be the slippery slope fear is just too real for them. And so I don't really see this being a realistic threat. But it is scary nonetheless. I mean, like Lux said, this is classic Nazi approach to be like, take the guns away from the minority who we're trying to fearmonger about.
Yeah, I wonder if the yes votes are the people who might comment saying, well, but I don't support guns for anybody, and that includes trans people, which, like, that's not the point. The point of this question isn't should there be, like, gun regulations and gun control, because, like, yes, there should be increased regulation for everybody, but the point here is, should this discriminate against one group of people on the basis of their class status. Like, and that is the conversation here. So if you answered yes because of that, you're clearly missing the point of the poll entirely, or you're just a troll.
A lot of our audience likes to intentionally miss the point of the poll. I think they think they're being clever by like finding a way to answer the one they know what we're aiming for, but also to share our value still. Like any way to contort yes into being something we would agree with. Um, our audience does this for every poll, so I'm not surprised. But like clearly 97% of people got what we meant. So this week's poll, a lot less controversial. Are they going to blame trans people for this one too? That one's going in the chat. We'll talk about it later, but there's not a lot to say, to be honest. I think you guys know exactly what we mean. I don't know if we need to elaborate on that at all. All right, Ben, you ready to jump into some callers?
Yeah, let's do it. We got a lot of people trying to call in, so
yeah, let's talk to 6-3. That seems like
yeah, let's do it.
An interesting call. So we're going to talk to Geo. Pronouns are they, them, out of New Jersey, who says neopronouns encumbering daily speech feels they're unnecessary. So Geo, you are live on the line with Arden and Dr. Ben. What's going on?
Hello, Arden. Hello, Dr. Ben. I'm doing well. I hope you two are having a great day.
Thanks. Likewise.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, what did you want to talk about? Give it to us.
All right. Let me try and choke this out. I don't quite understand the purpose of neopronouns in speech. I've never encountered anyone who uses neopronouns, but I'm a little bit confused as to why they exist as a concept and how they can fill a niche that an existing word like it or they doesn't already fill. That's pretty much it, I guess.
Yeah, I think linguistically, just speaking about the English language, like, yeah, for most people, they can find kind of what they need out of the pronouns that are currently accepted, for the most part, he, him, she, her, they, them, it, it's. But I can see where people might want to break away further from like the implications of using they, them, or it's. I know some people still feel like it is dehumanizing in a way, and they might not fully identify with they, them, because that kind of has certain connotations with it. So it's a case where I kind of wish Lux was here to help answer this question, because I don't identify with those pronouns. Like, I personally don't understand the use of them because they don't really apply to me. But I could see where some people are saying, there isn't a category for me yet. There isn't a way for me to integrate myself into this language yet. So here's the way that we're going to try to do it. And I know that it's kind of clunky, but I think that there is value to it. And I think we shouldn't just kind of ignore it just because we don't personally understand the use of it.
Oh, well, I wouldn't want to ignore it per se. I also do wish I could have spoken to Lux today, because I do believe I saw a clip where they said that they use it pronouns, and I thought that was very interesting. But I think you're correct in that we probably should just respect that desire and use it, just even if not understanding.
Yeah. I think also to like kind of acknowledge what your sense, like, I am very open and comfortable with neopronouns. Like, if that's a thing somebody wants to do, I'm happy to use them. But I do think that when you start to get into like the noun self pronouns, they cease to be a pronoun functionally. Like, just linguistically, that's no longer a pronoun. That's like more of a nickname, really, at that point.
I would agree with you on that.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think it really serves the functional purpose of a pronoun in speech, where it's like, instead of having to say Rufus Xavier Zasparilla, you can say he, to reference some Schoolhouse Rock there. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
it's like, I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time on this topic because I think, of the people who are a threat to trans rights and our acceptance largely in society, I don't think the people who use neopronouns are even a blip on that radar, to be honest. Like, I've actually never, I think I've spoken to one person in my entire life in person who asked for neopronouns. Everyone else who I've seen ask for that does it online, and it's a lot easier to do through text because I'm writing. I'm not having to think about, like, how does that sound when it's coming out of my mouth? But yeah, I'm comfortable with you trying to use someone's pronouns, but I also think, I hope that people who use neopronouns understand that they, them is probably like the safe off ramp where I'm like, I if I'm like in a brain thing where I'm like, ooh, which version of this neopronoun fits in this linguistic scenario? I'm not really sure. That they, them kind of applies to everyone. But that, like, as long as you're generally trying to use their pronouns correctly, that's what really counts. Yeah, I think it's just the effort,
And so I suppose, like, the question is more along the lines of, like, it, because, like, I understand and would respect if somebody were to say, like, okay, well, I would prefer that you just call me it, instead of he, they, she. But my worry there is that there's this connotation of it with objects and not people. Like, you would almost never refer to a person as it. And I think that I'm worried that neopronouns sort of like arm bad actors with something to dehumanize you with.
Interestingly, I actually disagree. I think that people using its pronouns seriously kind of disarms the sting that its can have in its weaponized form. I think a generation of people who heard its used as just an optional pronoun for people are going to be less likely to find those terms offensive or degrading in the same way. I know I've been very open that, like, I was called it throughout my high school experience. Like, I have some personal trauma there. And I do think there's a sense in which sometimes if you're talking about a concept or an object and the its person in the same sentence, where it can kind of get confusing, not knowing what the it is referring to in that particular instance. But
sure, but the same could be said for someone with they pronouns when you're talking about a different group of people as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, that is kind of a non-issue.
It's just a trick of language.
But yeah, I do hear what you're saying. I think some people will probably try to fearmonger off of the use of neopronouns and its and things like that. But by and large, I do think that it's probably a more a more of a disarming approach. It's kind of like the reclamation of the word queer. Like, for a lot of my youth, queer was derogatory, and now it's
optimistic viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I can't read the future, and we live in pretty crazy, unprecedented times. It's really hard to know what any of this is going to look like in 2 years' time, but that's where I stand right now.
That's true, unfortunately. I appreciate your perspective on that. It's very optimistic. I think that's probably we need a bit more of that. I was wondering, Dr. Ben, did you? I'm satisfied here. Was there anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page with that. And as far as the kind of using the term it's against people, I agree with Arden in her summary of that issue. I think it's also becoming different in the attacks that people are using, because I know there's a lot of feedback there.
Yep, I muted Geo for just a second. Go ahead.
But like, I think it used to be even more common, like Arden was saying, kind of in her high school years, for it to be kind of an insult. I think it shifted away a little bit from that, because I think people are getting more visceral reactions from just outright misgendering people. So I think that in some of that, it doesn't carry as much weight in that insult as it used to. Because now I think people who are trying to be offensive are just going straight to misgendering people. And sure, it could be misgendering, but I think if someone is using that like to be offensive, it's kind of equal in weight to like using any other misgendering for somebody. So, oh yeah, I know Geo can't respond because they're muted.
Oh no, I unmuted them. They're good.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I
Sorry.
was waiting to see if I wasn't muted. My apologies.
Yeah.
I appreciate that sentiment of the reclamation of the pronoun, or I wouldn't call it a reclamation. It's just like the claiming of the pronoun that this can also be for me as well. And I also appreciate your sentiment. No, it slipped my mind. Sorry, that happens to me sometimes.
Totally okay. I think of.
That's great though. I thank you very much. I'm good here.
Cool. Thank you so much for calling, Gio. We appreciate the conversation.
You have a wonderful day. It was wonderful speaking to you both.
You too. Bye bye. I was thinking of there's a specific memory I have of being called it in high school. It was at like a Friday Night Lights football game or something. I was there with a few friends. Our high school was, I always say we were the South of the North, and like in every conceivable way, like our obsession with high school football, it all, in this one town. Anyway, and somebody who was a friend but had a crush on my girlfriend, decided to call me an it in front of a big crowd of people, as in a mocking tone. And I just think of like, if its was an accepted pronoun at the time, I could have just been like, oh no, it's she, her, you know, and like would have just diffused all of the tension in the group. And that's like kind of funny to me. And so I'm like, yeah, it's definitely kind of had me come around on like, I don't know, those terms aren't like for me personally, but neither is he, him, or they, them. And those are pretty universally accepted. So, yeah. Cool. Well, awesome. That was chill caller. Okay, just got a note from our screener there. Yeah, we'll probably skip that new caller for now. I don't know. Would you want to just do them in order, or is there one that's jumping out at you?
I think we can just go in order. So
right.
if anybody wants to come on and disagree with us about something, get your calls in.
Yeah, 100%. The number is 720-619-2288. 720-619-2288. Feel free to call in if you want to bring up some sort of contention or disagreement you have with trans people or trans activists, or you want clarification on something you've heard about trans rights. We'd be happy to have a discussion with you. So B, he, him in Virginia wants to talk about trans representation in fiction. So B, you are live on the line with Arden and Ben. Talk to us. What's going on?
Do you mind if well, first off, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay. My audio is weird. Do you mind if I say something about the last caller and neopronouns?
Make it very quick, please.
I'm just going to say I have to admit I spent an embarrassingly long amount of my own life hating the concept due to how trolls on the internet would abuse it. I doubt they actually were trans. They were just being trolls, and I suspect other people may have similar feeling that people are just trying to be trolls. That's all.
Sure, I guess.
Okay.
Go ahead then, B, on the topic you called in.
Okay. I just feel like in most representation of transgender people that I've seen falls into two categories. Either everything's happy, glorious, we live in this perfect utopia, or it's downright dystopian. And I don't think you can boil down any experience, let alone the transgender experience, to such extremes. But it's not really my place to say, and I just want your thoughts.
Yeah, how much trans literature are you reading? Like, are you Like, I guess how many books or stories have you read about trans people?
That is
Or
a
watched or whatever.
That is a very
Yeah.
valid question. I wouldn't say I'm actively seeking them out.
And that's kind of the point I wanted to make, is that you make a statement that, you know, the media featuring trans people is either A or B. But there's a lot of media out there to get involved with. I just went to a bookstore in San Francisco this past weekend it was all about, you know, queer books, and they featured like a wide variety of queer authored fiction. And I think that it's maybe a problem if you're saying that, you know, all of these forms of media are doing either this thing or this thing, but then not really getting into like the full breadth of content out there. I'm sure there are queer people expressing depth of their experiences and having mixtures of happy and sad moments in there. And I would encourage you, maybe the issue is you only read a couple things, or you've only seen a couple things in that category.
That's a very valid point. I should work on that. You're right.
I think maybe you could make the case that like trans representation in like the pop media, like the biggest media things, is very reductionist and two-dimensional, and maybe you could sort of boil it down to what you talked about. But I would definitely agree with Ben that like I've seen lots of good representation of trans media. Pose, I think, is a fantastic representation of trans media, and let me tell you, not all those characters are good people. Like the whole point of that show is we're looking at some very flawed people who have like, you know, their own in-group feelings against each other and all of this kind of stuff. So
What show?
Pose. It was written by Janet Mock, who is an author who I've loved, a trans woman and an activist. She's been around for ages, and she wrote like this show. Yeah, it's a show about like trans and queer culture in like 70s and 80s ball culture. Maybe more like late 80s, early 90s. I don't quite remember. But it was like at the peak of the AIDS crisis, and where like ballroom culture was where queer people interacted with each other and that kind of stuff. So it's a great show. Really sad. Yeah, I just saw somebody in chat say so sad, very sad in a lot of cases. And I don't know. I've seen other works that I thought were like good representation. So definitely expand your horizons a little bit there. You know, maybe
yeah, you're right. I need to
seek it out.
That. Stop judging all media by, as you describe it, popular pop culture stuff.
Sure. Yeah, if the only trans representation you saw was like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, then sure, like trans
horrible.
representation of media sucks, right? But like there's a lot more out there than that. So if that's all you had, B, then we're going to move on. But thank you for calling in. We appreciate your time, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Alrighty. Let's look back on that poll real quick. We'll check our results in the chat. So this week's poll was, are they going to blame trans people for this one too? And based on our chat poll, we've got 92% said yes, and 91. Oh, it's fluctuating, 92 to 91, with 9 or 8% saying no. I would love to know what your reasoning is. Honestly, I thought that number would be a lot more stark for the people who are saying no, because I think they're already trying to blame us. They said that trans ideology was engraved on one of the bullet casings. Like, they didn't say what the statement was, how it correlates to trans ideology. They just vague posted that trans ideology was engraved on the bullet, which, like, are we getting like,
because trans people do that?
Yeah,
because trans people go out and they like engrave things. Like, we have to have everything be about trans people. Like,
right.
Everything I have has the word trans written on it. Like,
not to mention they released photos of the shooter, and he did just look like a guy. Like, now granted, trans men just look like a guy, but like we don't know anything about the shooter or his motives yet, other than that he was ostensibly just a guy. I think it's such a mistake for them to have posted this information about those engravings without posting specifics. Like,
yep.
either withhold the information until you have everything to explain to society what this person's motives were and where they came from, or don't post anything at all. Like vague posting slight details, all that's doing is throwing red meat to a culture that is starving for an excuse to hate on minorities. Like, they don't need a lot of excuses, but when you give them one, they go, full on feeding frenzy with their. So yeah, we do still have some lines open. Looks like we've got about 4 lines open right now. Number is 720-619-2288. If you guys want to call in, you are welcome to do that. Real quick, I'm going to run down our schedule for this coming week before we hit those next callers. Tomorrow, this is big. I want you guys to look up the HOSTility episode that I'm hosting tomorrow with Fish Stark. Go to our YouTube channel, go to the live tab. One of the upcoming events should be my face and a face of a guy called Fish Stark on a HOSTility thumbnail. Click the notification button for that one. Fish Stark is the executive director of the American Humanist Association. He is the son of the first open atheist in Congress. He's a kick-ass guy who's doing a lot of incredible work, and work that I think really sets the tone for the direction I would like to see the secular movement go in the coming years. I realize a lot of y'all have a bit of an aversion to, and even some hosts here on the line, and that's okay, to a more of a pluralistic movement where we're including theists who share our values and are similarly opposed to fascism and Christian nationalism. I'm kind of in that camp that I would like a more pluralistic approach. I think we're in a 5-alarm fire. We can have our fights internally when the world isn't falling apart. And right now the world is falling apart.
Yeah.
But Fish is doing some amazing work, and the American Humanist Association is doing some amazing work between him and the president, Candace Gorman, who maybe we can have her on sometime soon too. But yeah, I'm really excited about that episode, so I hope you guys tune in for that. Sorry, rambly. Sunday show will be Matt and Seth at 2 p.m. After dark will be Forrest and Justin from the Deconstruction Zone at 7 p.m. Monday on Skeptalk will be Erica Gutsy Gibbon and Aaron Adair. Chewed Gum will be Alyssa and Taylor. We don't have a guest sorted for Matt. Actually, no, it's going to be Aaron. Aaron was supposed to be on last night, and he got bumped to next week because obviously we need to do a little bit more of a politically oriented shows. We were going to talk about research with Aaron last night, and it felt just like very inappropriate to bring Aaron on to talk about that when everything else is going on. So yeah, we'll have Aaron on next week on the Hang Up, and next week here on TACIS, it'll be Josie and Alexander. So subscribe, hit those notification bells on all those shows so you don't miss out, and we will talk to our next caller. All right. We've got Tyler, he, him in California, is talking about segregation in sports. Doesn't feel like sports should be segregated at all. So Tyler, you are live on the line with Arden and Dr. Ben. What's going on?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
All right, awesome. I've recently had cause to look into just basically the trans people in sports argument, and looking into it, I don't think I'm convinced that there needs to be gendered segregation in sports at all, even among cis people. And I'd like to kind of know y'all's input on that, see if I'm because maybe I'm overlooking something or oversimplifying some stuff.
I suspect you'll find a lot of agreement, but I would like to hear your take fleshed out a little more.
Yeah.
It's mainly because I found this one report about gender differences in chess, and the reason they made the gender distinction there to begin with is just to encourage more women to play chess.
Mm-hmm.
But then it turns out that the stereotype of women being worse led to women playing worse. I know you all said before, if you tell women they're going to do worse on a math test, then they're going to play worse.
Yep.
But in this one, this is from the European Journal of Social Psychology from 2007. They had groups of men and women who were rated equally, and they found that when the women didn't know the gender of the person they were playing against, they performed as well as you would expect them to. But when they knew they were playing against men, they played significantly worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so if this is just what it comes from, playing chess online, where you just know who you're going up against, then I like, I can't imagine a way in which that wouldn't apply to you actually seeing them in the real world. And so it got me to thinking, like, what evidence is there that all the differences we see in sports are purely due to biology and not just because some sports receive like more encouragement for people to go into there or more funding, more social support?
Yeah, I would love. Can I just do one quick word and then I'll want Ben to get in here because Ben is going to probably have more impressive things to say than me on this. The female stereotype threat is a very well established phenomena in psychological literature. That when you tell women that men typically perform better on a task, they almost universally perform worse following the task, even if you measure them before and they did perfectly well. This is a known phenomena. I would say that there's probably, actually, let me take a step back. I'm trying to readjust my approach to these conversations. I would say that my position is that fairness and inclusion can both be priorities for sports, and that to the extent that there may be average biological differences between the sexes, I think we can advocate for policies that are both inclusive, and advocating for maximal fairness. So that's my quick take.
Yeah, and Tyler, I would agree with you on pretty much your entire position. I think that, a lot of the differences that we claim to see between sexes is not really based on their sex as much as it is based on their size, like their height, their weight, their age, their training level, like their skill level, all that stuff. I think there is a little bit of nuance kind of depending on what sport you're looking at. I could see some scenarios where, like, if we had overwhelming evidence that there was a significant difference in people who are equal in all those other metrics, like if they're of the same experience level, the same size, same age and all that, like, let's say if weightlifting was an example of that, if we standardized all of those other variables and still had a significant enough difference to where people weren't able to get fair representation and a fair chance at winning, then I think that might be something to look at. Maybe do we need to separate it at that point? But it would still require actual evidence to demonstrate that it was a difference on that, and even just beyond like biological sex. We're talking about, is this a testosterone difference? Is this a what specifically about that sex makes there this difference? And most of it comes down to like a testosterone versus estrogen level in terms of muscle mass, because we'll see that trans men will get a similar amount of gain as a cis man would. So I think there can be some room for a nuance there, and I don't want to completely overly simplify it, but I would agree with you that I think there's it's hurting the trans community, it's hurting cis women, it's hurting everybody to kind of perpetuate this narrative that there's this huge biological difference between the sexes when that's not really been demonstrated. So I would agree with you, Tyler.
Awesome. What I would like to say is kind of what Arden said about maximizing fairness, and kind of what Dr. Ben said about identifying which biological function makes people better or worse at certain sports. It's when trying to be consistent, I can't think of any categories that I would separate sports by gender that would, or well, I'm going to rephrase that. I can't think of any categories that I would use to segregate sports where, when applying the same principle to social categories, would be good to be applied, right? So I guess to try and explain it better, sports are about trying to find out who's the best at it. So I don't really understand why, what would maximizing fairness in that mean?
Well, I mean, I think kind of similarly to what Ben said, identifying the biological factors that are most relevant to this sport, ones that could potentially be described as statistically significant in the advantage that they provide or take away, and then constructing boundaries around the sport to make the competition as exciting, fair, and interesting as possible.
I guess an example of what I'm trying to say, because I probably didn't explain it that well, is like Michael Phelps is kind of like a freak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't think of any category that I would use to say, all right, Michael Phelps is in this league because he like his muscles get sore differently, or because he has different webbing between his fingers. Like those obviously lead to him being better at swimming than the average person, but I can't think of any categories where I would say, like, because of this, Michael Phelps can't be a swimmer, or because of this, Michael Phelps should be in a different league of swimmers. And when I'm looking at it through that principle, I can't figure out like what are the biological differences that I would be willing to put these categories on if I'm not willing to do it on this.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I do think you have to also consider like biological features. Again, this is outside of like the sex and gender category, and it is, something that like I think you would also agree with the fact that like age is a biological factor, size is a biological factor. I do think it's fair to have different divisions based on kind of those things that you can standardize to allow more people to participate and allow more people a chance at a professional level. Like, I know, like, we're talking about swimming in particular, but like, let's take combat sports. You have different weight divisions and you can have different champions in different weight divisions. And that is a case where we do need to at least have a biological difference dictate different categories. I don't think that these categories should socially be in a hierarchy in any way. I don't think there's any greater value added onto being a heavyweight champion versus a flyweight champion. Like they should be regarded as, equal. Oh, I mean, apart from the fact that, one division might have a lot more people in it, and therefore, it's kind of a bigger feat to win against 8 people versus winning against 2 people. But in that, I think kind of the big issue is the categories making the social stigma worse. I think those categories should not really be a thing, but categories inherently aren't the problem. It's how we're utilizing these categories. But I think we're on the same page as like the specific arm length is not a reason to prevent people from swimming. But if they came out and said, arm length is a significant factor in swimming, and they said, regardless of your biological sex, if we said everybody with this like arm length is going to compete in this division, I mean, I think maybe it would be ridiculous, but I don't think that would be inherently unfair because you're applying that same standard across the board.
Yeah, and if I can add on to, I think also like something in my vision for this, and like you can consider this naive, I'm sure other people will, because I'm not a sports person, right? I don't really value sports generally speaking, but I would like to see like us as a culture start to prioritize types of competitions that equally value average male and female builds similarly, so that biological differences aren't really a pressing feature of this. Like there have to be competitions out there that could equally value the contributions of average male and female bodies, right? Like, so I'm like, I would prefer as a culture that we started to prop up value competition that is exciting and interesting, that is like equitable, and not sports that are like solely focused on features that are going to, overrepresent men or overrepresent women in those categories. So that's kind of also another thing that I think about a lot in this realm.
Well, and speaking on that, let's real quick jumping in. I think para sports do that really well, and they don't get a whole lot of attention. But looking more into that, like there's so much variety within the sports, within the Paralympics and within other para sports, and a lot of them don't have gender or sex categories. A lot of them are co-ed, and a lot of them focus on how can we equal out the playing field for a variety of abilities and skill sets. And I think that that's really cool. So
I have another thought, but I want Tyler to get in because we've been talking. So sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah.
Very good. I didn't consider parasports. That's a good thing to think about. I would like to. Can I try and restate what Dr. Ben said initially in response, just to see if I understood it fully?
Yep.
So what I understood you to say is, if there is a biological characteristic which we find to have a very significant impact on someone's performance in a sport, to the extent that other biological differences like won't really impact it, then that one major difference, you would be justified in categorizing based on that.
I think it could be depending on the sport and depending on the organization running the sports. I think if it allows for more people to play and more people to have a fair experience in that sport, then like I think that would be okay. I don't know if it would mean a whole lot to me or other people, but like if it does in that particular sport, I would be, willing to at least like let it demonstrate the evidence for that. So.
Okay, awesome. I think the Paralympics example that gives me a fair bit to think about in regards to this. So I think for the moment, like I agree with what you all say, and I've got to consider that one some more.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tag on this last thought. I referenced a study like I read. I don't know. I read it some time ago. And it was about curling, performance differences between male and female athletes at the top level. And something that they talked about was that, there was some discussion about, is there a sex difference in performance of curling, because there were like male and female leagues, I think, and some of them were co-ed. And I was like curious about that. And what they found were that male athletes could sweep harder and faster, which made the curling rock, whatever it's called, move faster. However, interestingly, they exhausted their muscles way faster, men, which meant their performance had this scaling down graph over time. Whereas female athletes maybe started slightly below male athletes, but they had far more consistency across the performance, which basically completely neutralized their scores and made them all equal across the board, like on average, which is one of those things where I'm like, I feel like there's ways to value male and female performance while acknowledging that there are like statistical averages of differences between groups, right? So anyway, that was my last thought I wanted to tag on. I probably shouldn't have, because I think you put a nice button on it, Tyler. So I apologize for ruining the nice little button you put on that. But thank you for calling in.
All right, thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's a super interesting point.
Cool. Bye.
All right, goodbye.
Yeah, I this has kind of been more in the forefront of my mind, because I'm like, listen, we're not going to change culture overnight. Culture's not going to stop liking football. They're not going to stop liking hockey and things like this that value like speed and strength. That's going to like maybe, slightly favor men on average for performance or something like that. But I do think it would be interesting to see more sports where, like, sure, maybe males perform better on average in this certain way in the sport, and females perform average in certain ways on this sport. So like maybe you'll start to see them like take certain positions more often or something, but a sport that equally values their performance sort of in different ways. I think that could be a little bit more of an equitable scenario. But we as a culture really, really like the boys team. We want to be at the boys team game, not the everyone's team game or something like that. So that's more of like a cultural value thing than a athletic performance thing. Anyway, all right, let's see, we're at 2:45. All right, we've got full lines. We're going to leave lines open for a little while longer. We do have full lines, but we want to get to 5 o'clock. So we're going to talk to next Faye, they, them in Utah, feeling shame about going stealth. So Faye, you are live on Transatlantic with Arden and Dr. Ben. What's going on?
Hello.
Hey.
Well, I just wanted to talk about my heading. Just feeling shame about having to go stealth, like, and feeling like I'm feeding the negative rhetoric. In
what way would that be feeding negative rhetoric?
Well, just the fact that I'm still around people that know me as Faye, but feeling like impersonation syndrome, I guess. Like, how do I reconcile the feeling of just being fake?
Okay. So you're kind of saying being stealth makes you feel like you're being dishonest in some way?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Well,
And it,
Yeah.
sure. To that end, I would say like your trans identity is personal information about you and nobody is owed that information. So I think like to the extent it could be considered dishonest, that's similar to when like men think it's dishonest for a woman to not reveal that she is like infertile or something because they would have liked to have known that and they wanted to have kids, so they deserve to know that. It's like sure, but that's not how meeting people works. You get to know facts about people slowly over time as you build trust, and show that you are like somebody worthy of disclosing sensitive facts to. And so there's no like moral weight on you doing what is necessary for safety for yourself in your life.
well, see, I understand that. I just like I'm also dealing with people that kind of like when you have someone who's gay who quote unquote goes straight. I'm having people go, oh well, you were just faking the whole time. You're not really trans. You were just
Can I interrupt? I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Go for it.
You're talking about like detransitioning and going stealth as like cis, like the gender you were assigned at birth, not like being like, because to me, if I went stealth, I would be telling people I was a cis woman. That's what stealth means to me. So you're talking about like if I in your shoes were to like detransition and say I was a man, despite the fact that I still felt trans internally.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that is just you prioritizing your safety, as far as I can tell. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, like, people are going to think and they're going to have your judgments against you, but that's going to happen whether or not you're detransitioning, prioritizing your, like, people just do that to trans people point blank, period. So, I don't know. Sorry, I've been talking a lot, Ben. Do you want to jump in on this?
Well, I mean, like, it sucks, and it's a difficult decision that you have had to make to prioritize your personal safety, and there is nothing wrong with that. You did not choose the circumstances that led you to have to, make this decision, and it's not dishonest. It like because you know who you are, and I think internally you're still going to be true to yourself. And I think kind of the difference in you versus, the people who are out there detransitioning and making a big deal out of it is that thing, is people who are actually like detransitioning and taking up the arguments of the opposition, whether it's, people being a pick-me or just, Chloe Cole like being flown all over the country to make the situation worse for trans people. Like, I want to make it clear, like, even if you were detransitioning and you really like wanted to detransition, that still wouldn't be an inherently like bad thing. Like, it's not wrong. It's not immoral to detransition. It's not immoral to detransition just for the sake of personal safety. What would be a problem is if you were becoming a problem in that detransition. But that's the same thing too. It would be the same problem even if you stayed openly trans and like said the same arguments. Like, it's not whether you're stealth or not. It's not the detransition aspect. It's how are you going to act in spite of that. So in your stealth, like, I don't think you should be pretending to be like a transphobe. Like that would be problematic.
Well, of course.
But if you just kind of keep to yourself and do what you need to do for your safety, that isn't inherently wrong on your part.
Okay. As of late, being detransitioning and becoming quote unquote one of the guys again, I have people questioning, well, what were you just faking it? Like, what's going on? And I'm just like, I don't want to be viewed as someone like Chloe Cole.
Well, Faye, I don't know if you know, I also went through a period of detransition from about 18 to like 22 or something like that. And I'm going to burst a hard reality bubble for you. People are making judgments. They will make judgments, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's literally zero control that you can have over the judgments that other people assign to you based on bullshit they've heard. The best thing you can do is to like really try to establish like what your principles are, what you are trying to do for yourself, and then to know that at the end of the day, whatever they think about you, you know that you're doing the best for you and your family and your life and your safety, and that regardless of what their thoughts are, that doesn't take away from you.
Well, thank you guys. You guys are awesome, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for calling, Faye. We appreciate it. Talk later.
Bye-bye.
All right. Real quick, I would like to remind you guys that the entire network is supported by you guys supporting us over on patreon.com/calltheline. You guys get access to our monthly Zoom Q&A sessions, which I think we're due to have one this Saturday. Although I don't know if we've scheduled that yet, so we got to get on that. Actually, let me text Jimmy about that right after I'm done making this announcement. You also get access to our monthly LineCon Online Live mini lecture series that we're doing. I think the schedule might be a little messed up this week or this month because we were supposed to do the SSA fundraiser next weekend, but that actually got moved just due to sort of the political context of how we were approaching that event and certain things that have happened recently. We wanted to be sensitive and careful to the sort of things that were going on. So that is going to be scheduled to probably some point in October. But yeah, if you guys support us on patreon.com/calltheline, you get access to all those cool perks. You get your name in the credits at the end at a certain tier. You get access to ad-free episodes of The Line Has a Podcast. And you get to help support us and keep the lights on here. So please consider doing that. Also, if you don't have money to support us, you can hit the like button on this video and subscribe. Those things tell the algorithm that this is something that other people should see. It helps boost our presence and helps also keep the lights on without you guys having to give anything monetarily. So, yeah. And then we are going to move on to take another caller. All right. Let's see.
That's muted. The one at the bottom looks like a disagreement.
Oh yeah. All right, we can try that call. Yeah. Summer in India, pronouns he, him, says the concept of gender identity is useless. So Summer, you are live with Arden and Dr. Ben. Tell us what your thoughts are. Where are you coming from?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me on the show. So basically, I would like to ask you, like, why we should use the pronouns related with gender identity and not the biological sex of that person.
Sure. There are contexts in which prioritizing sex as a category can be useful, like in research, or if we're discovering a new species, it can be really helpful to start drawing boxes around what we're looking at by describing biological sex. But when it comes to people, usually we're describing their place in a society. And so in that case, gender identity can be a more useful term in a lot of cases. At least that's my response. Ben, do you have a different take?
Yeah, so I was
Well,
not talking about the research thing. Yeah, sure. I was basically talking about like if you have to refer someone by some pronouns. So do you believe that we should use their gender identity for that, or should we use their biological sex for that? And if you think we should use
yes,
their gender identity, like
yes, we should use their
why should
gender
we do that?
identity because we're going to be respectful of
But
people and
but
their internal sense of self. Can you hear me? Summer, can you hear me?
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's important to respect people's internal sense of self more so than their body. Summer, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that who you are as a person is dictated by the organs that you have?
Can you repeat that? I didn't get the first part.
Yeah, do you think that your identity or who you are as a person is dictated by the organs that you have in your body? Sorry, my dog is super loud right
To
now.
a certain to a certain bit, like of course there is personality which cannot be based on the biological sex. But I was specifically referring to the
We're
like
not
the
talking about
pronouns that we
personality.
use.
We're not talking about personality. Do you think that your identity, so who you are as a person, if you, Summer, like let's say we had a society and I said everybody who does not have a gallbladder has to wear certain clothes, have to take certain jobs in society, they have to use certain pronouns. Do you think that would be fair of me to make that decision based on what organs you have in your body?
If the society accepts it, I don't see how that's a problem.
You don't think it's a problem that if someone that you're who you are, who you act in your society, like who you should marry, who you should be allowed to like socialize with individually, the sports you can play, all that. You don't think that it's a problem to tell you what you can do with your body and with yourself in society.
Yeah, somewhere added, if society accepts it, then I don't see the problem, kind of ignoring that your entire setup of the hypothetical was implying that society does not accept it and is not treating those people equally.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is a problem. Like what you can do in a society, that should not be dictated with the organs which is in your body. I thought you were asking like how you are referring to a person with the pronouns. That
no, and this is the same thing,
on...
Summer. The reason why I asked you this is because it's the same thing. Because the whole concept of gender in society is based on hierarchies based on your reproductive organs. And so since kind of that was established, way back in the day, it was used as a method to say women are supposed to be stay-at-home baby makers and men are going to go out and make the decisions in society because they're strong and women are weak. And that's kind of been a catalyst for how society views gender, at least how a lot of modern societies, not all modern societies, view gender. And it's a problem because what you're suggesting is that society can make those decisions. They can use your body and say, that's who you get to be in our society. And so what gender identity is we're saying, no, your identity, who you are as a person, is separate from your organs. And we are advocating that society should not be able to use that biology as a reason to take away rights from you or to say that you have to be a certain person or you have to dress a certain way, you have to act a certain way, right? Like we're advocating for kind of breaking those boundaries.
So I don't know. I think you are saying like the biological sex should be responsible for the rights people get. I did not claim that in the slightest.
We're saying that it currently is,
and
it should not be that way.
If a person's biological sex is male, we should call him he, him. and if it's female, then we should call she her.
Okay,
Like,
How,
Can I-
where
Summer,
are the
how are you
rights
going
here,
to know?
and what
Yeah,
Summer,
society is
how are you
dictating?
going?
I-
Arden, you can jump in here.
No, I mean that's pretty much what I was gonna do. I
Yeah.
was gonna jump in and say, like, Summer, for anyone you've ever talked to in your entire life, when did you have confirmation of their biological sex while talking to them?
So we cannot have 100% confirmation about anyone's biological sex.
Oh,
but
so you were
we can
making
have
assumptions. You were making assumptions then based
I'm
on
not.
their. So I'm gonna mute you because you have to understand there's a delay, and you're very eager here, which I appreciate. You're making assumptions based on their presentation, how they dress, how they present, their secondary sexual characteristics, all of which are subject to change. At no point with any of these people did you have access to their chromosomes or probably not to their genitals, at least not at the time of birth. So for none of these people, you had confirmation of their biological sex, and yet you gendered them, right? You probably referred to them as men or women. You're unmuted, by the way.
Yeah, so that's not what I said. Let me say, I'm saying we cannot say for 100% surety whether the biological sex of a person is male or female. But
Correct. So
we
you make
can
assumptions.
look at the but can I finish my point?
No, because you're ignoring what I said and restating the thing that you said, which is of no value to me or the show. So, like, yes, I heard what you said. You said we can't be absolutely sure about someone's biological sex when talking to them. And I said, so we make assumptions, correct? It's a heuristic. There's nothing wrong with it.
No.
And it's correct probably like 98% of the time on your assumptions. It's probably correct 98% of the time because the vast majority of people identify with their biological sex and present in ways that are standard for the society that they live in. So you probably, a lot of your assumptions are correct, but the point is you can't be absolutely certain, right?
Please allow me to at least finish my point.
Maybe if you don't repeat yourself again.
Sure. So my point is that we can reasonably conclude that a person is biologically male or female by looking at their biological.
So I already acknowledged that, Summer.
How do you Summer, how do you reasonably conclude that?
Okay, sure.
Tell me.
Okay, sure. So you can see that you don't know and that you're making assumptions based on things like their presentation or other facts about them, right?
I am saying if you are saying that.
Can you answer my
pronouns should be
question and
related
not
to
say what
gender
you're saying?
identity.
I would like you to. I asked you a question and then you said, "So I'm saying." That's not answering the question.
Okay, your question is that I am assuming someone's biological sex because I don't have 100% knowledge about that.
Right.
But I am saying I'm not making any assumption because we cannot have 100% certainty about anything.
So that's.
So are you making assumptions?
I don't need an appeal to
do you have faith
solipsism.
about
I don't
that?
need an
I don't
appeal to
think so.
solipsism. I don't need an appeal to solipsism that we can't know anything. I told you. I literally said in my question, acknowledging that you're probably right 98% of the time. A lot of your assumptions are correct because most people are cisgender and most people conform to society's expectations. I'm not saying that it's a blind assumption, like you're throwing a dart in the universe blinded and you happen to get it right a lot of the time. No, I'm saying that you're making an assumption that's right a lot of the time, but it is fundamentally an assumption because you don't have access to their chromosomes, the contents of their minds, or their genitals most of the time. We're just making assumptions based on cultural expression.
Okay, so how do you have access about someone's gender identity? Like, it's a social construct, right? How do I have
They tell
access
you.
to their brain, like what
That's
they
the
are thinking?
difference. Summer,
You
that's
can
the
tell your
difference between
biological
your
sex?
position. Summer, that's the difference between your position and our position. Our position is that you do not need any biological confirmation that your pronouns are correct, right? Like our position is that pronouns are a reflection of your internal state of being, and this is just a respectful way for us to treat you. It's like, Summer, I don't know that whether or not your name is legally Summer. Is that going to change whether or not I call you by that name? Do I need biological confirmation that you are actually Summer? Do I need to see your birth certificate? Like, No, I'm going to call you that because that is what you tell me your name is. I don't need to have 100% confirmation that you meet certain criteria to have that action happen.
Sure. So if we can take a person's word on what their gender identity is, why can't we take their word for what their biological sex is? What's the need for gender identity here?
Does it
I
matter?
would take someone's word
Does
for
it-
their biological. If somebody told me they're assigned
Does it-
male, I would be like, okay, cool. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, like why does it matter so much to you, Summer?
It does not matter to me. I'm just saying that then the concept of gender identity is like redundant in terms of the pronouns, right? Why are we associating both of them?
Well, it's not redundant because just because gender and sex are aligned a lot of the time, they aren't perfectly correlated. They're not orthogonal. They're not unrelated either. There's a heavy correlation, but they're not always the same. So it's useful to ask somebody rather than just assuming, especially in places like this, where a heavy portion of our audience is trans, to say, hey, what are your pronouns? Because we might be wrong. And I think we're more likely to be wrong making assumptions in this space than in general public.
I don't think you have answered my question. I'm just saying if you can take word on gender identity of a person, why can't you just take word on biological sex? Like
I literally did respond to that. You just didn't listen because you're waiting for your turn to talk.
Why does it matter whether or not someone is truthful about their gender identity?
Do you not care about the truth?
Oh, Summer, come on. That's not real. You're not a real person. I don't buy this at all.
Yeah, like there's certain things that like it literally does not matter. If you lied to me about your favorite color, I literally do not give a shit. It's the same thing with gender identity. Like,
so you don't care about truth,
that,
Ben?
I don't give a shit.
You don't care about truth, Ben, because you don't care what their real favorite
Apparently
color
not.
is? Wow.
Yeah.
You must hate the truth.
I just said that we can just take their word for their biological sex. So I don't see how that's. I'm not. I don't want 100% truth because
Summer,
you can't get that.
I'm gonna give you one more chance to answer this. Like, for what reason do you need to know their correct biological sex?
For the same reason that you need the correct gender identity.
I don't need correct gender identity. I'm happy to accept whatever somebody tells me because what is actually in their head doesn't really matter to how I go about treating them and respecting them as a fellow citizen.
Sure, then I don't need their correct biological sex either. I can just take their word on whatever the biological sex they tell me. Then what's the need for gender identity here?
Because some people's biological sex doesn't match their gender identity, and some trans people who you assume to be women might honestly tell you, yeah, I was assigned male at birth, and then they'll tell you their biological sex and their gender identity. Are you now going to disrespect them and use the wrong pronouns for them?
The whole question was, why should pronouns be related to their gender identity? And now you are saying that if it would be disrespectful, like you haven't defended the premise.
No, you're okay. Summer, listen, I don't want to make assumptions about you, Summer, because I don't know, but I might chalk this up to being a language barrier because it doesn't feel like you're really understanding our questions or our responses. So I'm going to let you go. I don't think this conversation has been valuable. I don't think you've provided us with anything really valuable. I don't think you've really understood any of our questions or our responses. So we're going to wrap this up here. You have a lovely day, and kick rocks if you want.
Yeah, none of this conversation was honest rhetoric.
It was just weird. Well, why can't you just take their biological sex? I can.
Yeah.
Okay, well then what's the use of pronouns? Because they might not match someone's biological sex, then maybe I don't need to know someone's biological sex. Maybe if they just tell me their pronouns, that's good enough. And then he's like, okay, well, why can't you just take their biological... merry-go-round. He's not listening. He's just like wanting us to follow his dialogue tree, and it wasn't working, so...
It's funny how like you get off script and people get really mad about that. It's like maybe don't use the damn script and just use your brain. Think through the actual problem instead of trying to one-up somebody on the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
he was really waiting for, like, I guess, I don't know if he was trying to lead us into a viral clip. I know sometimes, like, some callers who call will, like, repeat really dishonest questions. Andrew did this to Jasper Hoffman on the HOSTility episode a while ago, where he was like, so you're saying if your daughter wanted to be a prostitute, you would be like, yeah, honey, I'm excited for you. You go do that. And she, rather than acknowledging, like, her response, which is about, like, I would have an intellectual conversation with her and respect her consent and her boundaries and her aspirations in life, and, like, ask if she really thought it through and is she considering the repercussions. Like, she gave such a nuanced response, and then Andrew was just like, asked the same exact question again. He's like, oh, so you're just cool with your daughter being a prostitute, right? Like, okay. That's what I felt like was happening with Summer. Like, he was like, I didn't get the clippable moment I wanted, so I have to ask the question again until they hit the button that I want them to hit.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to do that here.
No.
Sorry.
Hopefully it's not, like, problematic or racist or anything. I chalked it up to a language barrier mostly because I genuinely think that could have been an issue. There was also the dishonesty issue, but, like, the fact that he wasn't responding to our questions, I thought could have been the result of genuinely, like, just, like, not fully comprehending the nuance to the question or the answer. So that just felt like a more honest thing than just assuming he was a dishonest I really want to believe that people aren't in their nature dishonest shits, but the world is really trying hard to make me believe that. We do have a few open lines. I'm going to close the line soon, but I want to do, like, one last call for callers. So the number is 720-619-2288, 720-619-2288. If you are out of the US, you can call on our web link. Canada and the US both get toll-free access to just the phone number. Out of the US, we do have a web link in the description that you can use to call in before we close the lines down. But until then, all right, who's next? Sam, he, him in California says, what are your thoughts on therapists recommending gender labels? So Sam, you are live on the line with Arden and Ben. What's going on?
Hey, how are you two doing today?
Doing all right. What's going on?
Yeah.
So it's just a curious question I had. It's not something meant to argue about, but one thing that I haven't seen my therapist in a while, but the therapist I was been seeing for like 7 years. So she was seeing me before I transitioned and into my transitioning. She saw me use different labels as I transitioned. And for, I'd say, the past around 5 years, I've been feeling confident in being a binary trans man, and that hasn't changed. But there were a few times in a couple of my sessions where I would kind of like, it would be like I would explain like my conflict as far as being gender nonconforming. And my therapist, she wouldn't tell me, well, maybe you're this, maybe you're that. But it would come up kind of often that she would be like, well, have you thought about being gender fluid, or, you know, a label that's not binary? And it just, it didn't bother me particularly because she's helped me through my gender exploration. But I wanted to see what are your thoughts on therapists recommending gender labels to people who are not cis, like people who are already not cis come out and all of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I understand where that provider might be coming from if you express some sense of like gender nonconformity, but I really hate it. Like, I feel like I don't like prescribing roles or labels. I don't think that's helpful. Like, that's not really what the purpose of labels is, like to find the perfect box for you, because I feel like no box is perfect for anyone. There's an extent to which I also feel like my gender is a little bit non-conforming and not like perfectly aligned, you know, in like the binary sense, but I still consider myself a binary trans woman because that's just my experience of the world. And I I would find it kind of offensive if somebody tried to like push being non-binary on me when I'm like, I don't have anything wrong with non-binary people. Non-binary is great. Lots of MB friends. MBs are awesome. But it's not me, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's weird. That's not what labels are for, in my opinion. So it's weird.
Yeah, I think it's a little weird. I think like it's different if you're going to them and that is your source of distress, is not knowing what your label is, to where like it could be a point of saying like, hey, have you thought about these other things? Like, not pointing you in a particular direction, but saying like, hey, you know, there's some other things out there. How about you kind of look into these things? Like, it makes sense if that was your point of distress. But otherwise, if it's just an observation and someone just kind of making those recommendations out of nowhere, that's definitely odd. Especially because in your situation, like you were saying that you were already comfortable in like the identity label that you're currently using. And so if someone's already comfortable with that, it's not a source of distress. You should not be making a big deal out of changing that. Like, I don't know, that I would agree that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you both. Yeah. So that's kind of like where I was a little bit off put because, well, first of all, she's definitely like pro-trans. She's helped facilitate trans groups. I mean, she's told me that a lot of her clients are trans. So I definitely did not feel like it was some sort of like judgment as much as it was like, I guess, I don't know. I guess it's an example of how innate gender can be, because even at the thought of trying different labels, I'm more than perfectly okay with doing different labels, you know. I know that what might work for me this year might not work for me in 10 years from now. It was just more, how do I say? It just made me realize that for me, in my nature, I'm more aligned with binary. So it was, sorry, I'm a little bit rambly right now, trying to get my thoughts together. It was just mostly, so I know that she's not coming from any place of malice. It just definitely felt slightly off because I've already gone through different labels and presentations of myself to get to the point that I am now. So I wasn't sure if maybe it was something that I'm overthinking, considering that she's incredibly supportive, or if it's something that might be a little bit off-putting, because with me, during my beginning, during my questioning and whatnot, that kind of stuff was help. It was like, I knew that I couldn't be told if I was trans or not. It was just nice having that guidance. So I wasn't sure if that standard would still hold to my situation where I've been transitioning long enough and feeling settled in my identity, to see if maybe I'm just taking offense over nothing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think there would be a difference if she was just like kind of observing that like your description of your gender identity was not completely binary, and it was just kind of like a non-label assigning, non-judgmental observation or something like that. But I guess just like recommending it or being like, oh, have you considered that this might be like that's the thing that kind of just feels a little off to me. But I don't think it's inherently malicious or anything. I mean, it can genuinely probably come from a place of curiosity. I don't know. When I say I'm a binary trans person, like I don't think anyone's gender perfectly aligns on the binary. Just like I don't think anyone's sexuality is like perfectly straight or perfectly gay or anything like that. Like, humans are dynamic creatures, and our brains are like dynamic organs that change a lot over time. And so I think it's like just kind of an internal assessment you make of like, oh, I'm like sufficiently on this side of things for my purposes that like this is how I identify or whatever. But yeah, that is just an odd thing. But I mean, I'm glad it didn't feel like it rocked your world too much or anything, that you were just kind of like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah, if anything, it was like, I understand where she was coming from, because there was like a year or two where I was constantly doubting myself. But I'm not sure if suggesting labels would also help with that during that time. Any work that she's done with me has always been, I've always progressed forward. So it wasn't like she's hindered me one way or another. It was just, even though it had been a while, it was one of those things where it was like, I'm wondering, like, how do other people feel about that type of situation?
Yeah.
I could see a world. Mostly it. Sorry.
It's okay. I was just going to say, I can see a world in which you have the good enough rapport with a therapist that they could feel comfortable, like, suggesting that or asking that question without it being taken as, like, it's being pushed on you kind of thing. So I don't think it's inherently problematic. But yeah, I would be a little, depending on how early in my relationship with my therapist I would definitely find that a little weird. Yeah, I think labels are really just meant to kind of like help communicate and, help understand like sort of your position in the world and in relation to other people. And so, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for calling, Sam. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate you guys.
Likewise. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. We have, I think we got the last caller I was looking for. Before I close down those lines.
Yep.
All right, cool. That looks good to me. I will let our screener know lines have been closed, and we're going to be working through. If you can hear me right now, you've been screened. You are in the queue. We're going to get to all of you. And then we will take super chats. Super chats of $5 or more. We will read out live on air. And if you include hashtag Team Arden or hashtag Team Ben, we get points. And whoever has the least amount of points has to spend 2 minutes defending some silly, embarrassing position that we would probably hate to defend just for laughs. It's just silly. It's just fun and lighthearted and meant to, sort of ease off the gas in a show that can be sometimes very intense. So lines are closed. Thanks to Jess. Big shout out to Jess. You are such a champ. All right. You ready to power through these last callers?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Looks like we've got 5 of you. So actually, I think I want to take 21-1 first because I think he was on for a while and then dropped. So I think he's actually technically waited the longest.
Yep. So
Roan, he, him in Canada, unique perspective of youth soccer in regard to trans folks in sports. So Roan, you are live with Arden and Ben. What's going on?
Hi, Arden. Hi, Ben. How you doing?
Doing all right. What's going on?
How about you?
I'm doing well. Can you guys hear me? I'm wearing like Apple earphones, so I don't know if the sound will be great. And they also just gave me a heads up like 30 seconds ago that they're dying. So either way, I just, big fan of the show, big fan of like a lot of people in this company, I guess we'll call it, that the content you guys make. Just wanted to basically call in and give like a unique perspective of sports. I'm someone who coaches youth soccer for both boys and girls teams. I've done it for many years, like really love doing it. I think a lot of conversations like around sports, especially in like media and everything, is so focused on competition, right? And like the elite of the elite, when the real discussion for the majority of the people is about, the average person and their experience playing sports. And the vast majority of people don't get anywhere near a professional level, let alone like the best of the best professional level. And so I think like the perception, there's like an obsession and conversation when it comes to this stuff about like winning and the fastest and the strongest and all that, when the main focus for a lot of people in sports, especially when they're young, is about teaching them life skills, right? About like working as a team, building relationships with people, how to be a good teammate, right? Something as simple as that, regardless of the level you play at. And so, yeah, I mean, that was kind of one of my main points, was just kind of that discussion, how I think people are obsessed with that side of like competition and the winning aspect, when 99% of people, it's about building relationships and building skills for life. And so, I haven't personally had an experience of a trans player on my team, any of my teams. And so it's the margins are not margins, but the percentage of players is probably so small, that, too, like the other point, sorry, I'm kind of rambling here. The other point, was about how sports at a youth level is actually categorized. And sports is so complicated that way because, like you guys pointed out earlier with the previous caller, that there's natural advantages that people have, right? In both genders, both in individuals, there's going to be people who are naturally really, really fast, right? Whether they're right, male or female, and all sorts of different types of categories. It's so hard to select, and at the end of the day, regardless of gender, regardless of anything, teams and levels, players are organized based on their abilities and levels. And so this is done by individual coaches, right? And so the problem with a lot of this stuff in general is that you have individuals who are making, decisions about people and who makes what team and for what reasons and why. And so there's so many factors. What I'm trying to say is there's so many factors that go into decision makings like that when it comes to this sports discussion, no one's talking about, the majority of people and their experience, right? I've had the experiences many times of having to cut players, and it's devastating for them, right? And it's they may be a good player or good enough to play at a certain level, but they may not be selected for a team over another player because of just positional competition, or another person's better at something than they are, right? And so part of what...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to cut it. I know I want to have this be a dialogue, but this kind of reminds me of the what you're bringing up, this idea that a lot of the arguments people are using against trans people in sports are focused on these very elite levels of sport, but they're using that to then comment on kids just trying to play at their local levels. And that kind of crossover is almost, it reminds me of the people who think that they can just work their hardest and become a billionaire and that kind of thing. There's so many people that seem to think, if it weren't for those pesky trans people, my kid would get to be a pro soccer player. No, probably not. It's probably not going to happen. The trans person on your kid's soccer team is not the barrier necessarily to them making it to pro. If they're going to get to that level, they could probably handle being in a league with trans people. It's probably not going to be what throws them off. I'm sure if you put Leah Thomas as an example, sure, you have some people at that fourth place versus sixth place whatever rankings, and that can be frustrating for some people. But if you put Leah Thomas in the pool with Katie Ledecky, you're not even in the same league at that point. And Leah Thomas is not the barrier to these other people trying to get to the level of Katie Ledecky. But all of that, it's just an interesting conversation. And a little piece of fun trivia right now, just a lot of people, if you know Paul and Morgan, from the Very Fundamentalist channel, Paul has kind of foregone a bunch of his familial responsibilities because he firmly believes that he can just become a pro pickleball player just by doing it as an adult. There are people legitimately with this idea that if it were completely fair in their eyes, they could just, that anybody can just make it to these pro levels. And no, that's not what's happening. And it's you're saying, it's a lot harder to get to those levels than people are saying. And when people are advocating for, trans people in the sport, the trans people they're worried about they're not at those echelons most of the time. And when they are, we're seeing cis people still overwhelmingly kind of dominating the competition, except for a couple exceptions, kind of showing that, they're not as big of a threat to the professional circuit as we think they are. But yeah, it's just interesting to me.
I think the point you made about, people being the rhetoric of like, you want to be a millionaire, you just got to work hard, right? And it's the same idea that, and the point, like the emphasis I'm trying to make is the people who are, involved in youth sports and people who are trying to help kids and develop life skills. Like, again, that the message or something you learn from something like that is that, sports teaches you that you may work really hard, and you may invest a lot in it or time, but you may not get what you want or get to the level that you want. And that is true for life. Right. And so, again, I'm just trying to emphasize the point that the media, all we see in media is we're talking about the 0.0000001% of people. And the other factor too is like sports is like anything. The more resources you have, right? The better class, let's say you're in economically, is often the number one factor.
Yep.
But if you can afford, if you are in a class where you can afford to pay for extra training, spend more time focusing on that, pay for better coaching, that type of stuff, that's ultimately the biggest, determining factor. That, and then the commitment level and the work ethic and all that. And then on top of it, the ability, the natural ability, the athleticism the person has, right? And so it's like sports is so complicated that way because there's so many factors that, and it's like, again, the point I'm trying to make is like people, regardless of gender, people get selected over others when it comes to sports at all levels, right? It's not, and so it's the worst thing about being a coach, having to cut kids, but it's also a good thing in terms of like you're helping people be at the level or where they should be, where they're gonna be given the opportunity to play more, right? But yeah, I just kind of wanted to emphasize that because like, every discussion I see on this stuff is about such a small percentage of the actual population of that sport or athlete. And it doesn't give an accurate picture of like the experience for 99% of people, right?
Yeah.
That are involved in sports. And soccer is, I think it's a good example of a sport because like my experience as a coach is like, so I've coached multiple boys teams, like high level boys teams. I've coached multiple high level girls teams. I'm currently coaching a high level women's team. And the differences you see between the sexes in terms of like the advantages they gain is once boys start hitting, puberty at like 13, 14, there's a noticeable increase in their athletic ability in general. And then there tends to be a gap. But like anything, there's the odd person who is an outlier who's capable of playing at like a much higher level than they're at, whether it's in the same sex or gender or another, right? And so you always have these people where I have female players who are good enough to play with the same level, same age boys group, but that's like probably one girl out of 1,000 players.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, it's just highlighting that like it's a small percentage, that person, but it's like it highlights that how many factors go into these things, right?
I think also kind of to the note you were talking about, Rowan, and I think Ben also mentioned this as well, that like I don't know that we're ever going to be able to see data that really fairly represent the just objective capacity for male and female athletic performance, because we live in a society that is fundamentally misogynistic and sexist, and that prioritizes athleticism for men, even if there could ostensibly be, differences in performance on average. Like female athleticism just isn't valued the same way as male athleticism is. And so due to things like the stereotype threat that we talked about earlier, with a different caller, I have a hard time believing we're ever going to get really good, like objective data on the differences between male and female performance, because as you both have pointed out, things like class and how much you're trained and what kind of environment you grow up in to have these experiences has like a huge impact on what your actual athletic capability is. And when we see the female athletes who are contending, you know, in these big leagues, often they are those individuals who had the resources to overcome and to perform better. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, for sure, are there on average biological differences between the sexes due to like, you know, developmental things like testosterone and all that kind of stuff? For sure. But it's just such a limiting perspective to not only lump all trans women in with all men and all trans men in with all women, but to like just like flatten performance across the board. I think, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just, people will point right away and go, you know, boys can't compete against girls. But it's like, well, boys can compete. You can have a boys team that's worse than another team, and no one has issues playing those teams playing each other when that's not a fair advantage. Right? Like I've had, for example, right? Like I have the boys team I coach right now, they're in grade 11. So they're 16. The girls I coach right now are 17. A team I used to coach, there was a 3-year age gap between them. And the girls team was very, very strong. And to compare them, like the boys team was a bottom mid-table team at their age and level. They were probably 14, and the girls team was like a top 17-year-old girls team. They were top 2 team in their league. But right around the age of like the boys started to turn 14 and the majority of them were hitting puberty, the athleticism gap, like the advantages you see between them, it becomes vast. I mean, like, but then at the same time, this is where I'm saying, it's like people will take this wrong way where I'm saying like, well, the boys are better than girls. It's like, no, it's all about the individual and what they are doing and putting in, because it's like, you could have a boys team. I've done the same thing. Like I've had that boys team who's strong, who's 3 years younger, play a boys team who's 3 years older, who's 2 or 3 levels below, and they'll beat them. Right? Yeah. So it's like, it's a factor like any other factor. And there's so many factors that I agree with you, Arden, that it's like, I don't think we'll ever know. And the problem is like I totally agree with you with the whole, you know, misogynist culture in general, like, and that all stems really from like a Judeo-Christian society, if we're being honest. But it's like this backwards view of, you know, that like, this is the factor. Right?
Yeah.
This is the factor that it is. And it's like, well, it's a factor and it depends on the individual. And like I said, there are girls that are on a girls team who's a year older that would be capable of playing with those boys. Very few, but why is their gender not a factor?
And this is why, like I said with one of the previous callers, I think both fairness and inclusion can be priorities in sports, and that, like, you know, one of the core Olympic principles is that access to sport is a human right. I just think that categorical bans are never the answer. I think we can have evidence-based, sport by sport, case by case, player by player standards that aim for both maximal inclusiveness and maximal fairness. I don't think those things are at odds. I think we can have our cake and eat it too on this particular issue. If there's anything else, I do want to start to wind down, but you can have your last word, and we'll get Ben in here too, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Last point. So again, like the difference between the genders is a factor. We already categorize between, like, within each gender, right? So like let's just take the boys group, for example. There's the top level all the way to the 4th level. Top 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're already categorized based on their performance, right? And they are basically saying, well, we're going to take gender out as a factor, and they do that for the girls. But then there's outliers in each group where it's about how good are you actually and capable of playing at a cross level. So like if you're a female and you're good enough, you could train and play with the boys team, right? It's just that is such a small percentage.
I do want to weigh in real quick though, because it does seem like number one, you're focused purely on soccer, and I know that's kind of your sport. And this discussion goes well beyond that sport. There's 100%. A little, I mean, in soccer, sure, there might be those specific sex-based differences, but I want to clarify too, like, not all sports have such clear delineating like sex-based differences, kind of like what you're saying. And when you're saying that there's some girls that are outliers that can compete with the boys, like I want you to take into consideration that in soccer, you're not standardizing for size. You're not standardizing for some of the factors that could eliminate the differences between sex. Because like what, for example, if you have high testosterone levels and therefore high muscle mass, what is also going to increase? Weight. Your weight is going to increase with your muscle mass. With height, your weight is going to increase. So if you have sports like, I will bring wrestling and jiu-jitsu into this a lot because those are weight-based sports, there's even less of a reason to focus on sex-based differences because number one, the athleticism, like I think the way you view athleticism is maybe a little bit narrow to your sport. There are examples of athleticism that favor women's bodies, especially in martial arts and in grappling, because flexibility matters a whole lot.
Flexibility,
agility, yeah. So there are things that, like, even within the sports you're talking about, there are certain things that are not standardized that maybe you're attributing to a sex-based difference that really is more of a size, like that could be standardized for size. Like if you have specifically in jiu-jitsu, there's a big issue with having a sex division or gender divisions where if you are competing, let's say 65 kilograms, and there's nobody else in your weight category or not sufficient to run the tournament, instead of matching you up with the same weight division of the opposite gender, they'll match you up a weight division or up 2 weight divisions even within your gender category, because somehow they think it's more fair for a 125 pound woman to go up against a 160 pound woman, when actually it'd be more fair for a 125 pound woman to go up against a 125 pound man or even a 135 pound man. Those differences are more negligible when you kind of standardize those factors as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all. And like, you make a great point. I do think in terms of like soccer, the weight and things we're talking about, size and all that, like it is a factor. And like you see it all the time, like not even a gender based, like, you know, boys, for example, like you'll be selected for a team or a position, and certain positions in soccer require different physical features, right? Like your center backs need to be big and strong. They don't need to be the quickest. Your wide players need to be quick. They need to have a good change of direction, agility, all that. So different positions in the sport require different things. And I think combat sports in general are like behind a lot of other sports in terms of that. Like, and yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all that there's
So just that whole point, just making sure that we're not attributing like other factors to a sex-based difference. So, but I think we'll start.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to compare it in terms of like female versus male. I think it's true among male versus male. Right?
Yeah.
So
if you want to give like a last 30 seconds thought, go ahead, Rowan, and then we're gonna move on to the next caller.
No, I mean, first time caller, enjoy, like I said, enjoy the content. Big fan of Matt as well, and Jimmy and everything. So just thought I'd call in, and I hear a lot of this topic being discussed, and it's always about the elite, you know? And so I just thought, hey, with the background I have, I thought I would give you my perspective on like what I've experienced in youth and, you know, really what the objective of youth sports is for. I know sports kind of has like a bad rep or like a negative masculine view on it a lot of times, because again, the perception and portrayal of it in the media is you're looking at like, again, right, extreme competitors at a very high level. And whereas youth sports is about developing skills for young people, and the vast majority of them aren't going to get anywhere near that level, but they learn how to be a teammate. They learn how to cooperate. They learn how to be accountable, right? They develop general athleticism, all the other stuff. So.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Rowan, for the conversation. I appreciate it. You have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I definitely agree that I was kind of mentioning this to Ben, that I think I spend a little bit too much time responding to the rhetoric of other people, and, you know, the elite conversation is where they always take it because it's where their conversation has the most leverage, I think. And so I am definitely trying to make an effort to focus more on putting forward my values and my positions and less on responding to the values and positions of other people. It's a hard line to walk when we do a show like this, but I'm starting to get used to it. I think once I have some like good like kind of like canned responses in my back pocket, it'll be a little bit easier with this different approach, but we'll see. All right, we got 3 more callers and we're gonna get to them all. After that, we're gonna read super chats. Any super chat of $5 or more, we will read live. And then Ben and I will, based on the results of your votes, will spend 2 minutes defending some silly position. I don't have those in chat yet. Let me see if I have my list here somewhere that I can pull some ideas from. Nope, that's not the right one. I have lost my list. Chat, help me out. Give me some potential things. You guys know the format. Sometimes you guys will recommend ones that are obviously not in the format. We wouldn't do that. But for those of you who understand the format of our normal things, like, give me some recommendations and I will potentially use them. All right. We're going to talk to next. I'm going to say Saren. She, her in Michigan. Hopefully that's pronounced right. Wanted to talk about the increasing transphobic rhetoric being displayed in our Congress. So, Saren, oops, let me actually hit the button before I click away. Saren, you are live on the line with Arden and Ben. What's going on?
So I don't know if either of you caught the House debate yesterday over some amendments for the National Defense Authorization Act, but
I did not.
Nancy Mace and some of her Republican colleagues took the transphobic rhetoric to a level I haven't seen yet from them, which they've already had some like extremely, I would consider abhorrent language. Yeah. But there was screaming on the House floor yesterday back and forth. I will say I did feel good to see some of the Democrats like standing up strongly in our defense. I don't want to focus too much on the specific language that she used because I don't find repeating slurs and that kind of stuff helpful. Mm-hmm. It's more, I'm curious both of your thoughts on how we can cut through this increasingly dehumanizing rhetoric around our community and like how we can like, because my issue that I'm running into most often in my life is trying to express to my cis like friends and family how concerning this like stepping up of dehumanization is getting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we are at a massive disadvantage, I feel like, in that if we were on the right or if we were comfortable taking money from Israel, we probably could run a massive ad campaign that said, you know, does this help improve the lives of the people in Nancy Mace's state? She's like South Carolina or North Carolina, right? Does this help
North Carolina, yes.
Yeah, they're like, does this help the people in her district? Is this actually representing what the people need, or are the people needing help with their house? You know, I think there's a lot that could be done theoretically, but obviously we're at like a massive disadvantage. And I think the only real response we have is engaging with our friends and family and things like that, and kind of talking about how, you know, if somebody said that to me in person, like, how would you react? Would you be upset with them? Would you think that was abhorrent? Would you defend me? Or would you think that that's just her view and she's allowed to have her opinions or something along those lines? And kind of where that line is of like saying something that's so awful that you would need to stand up and say something about it. And I would like to hope that even a lot of our unaccepting family members, I think, would be like, well, okay, you probably shouldn't do that. Like I would even bet my dad would be like, okay, you probably shouldn't, Congresswoman probably shouldn't be shouting the T slur at trans people. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have like a silver bullet on this issue. Like, I don't know if there is a perfect solution to what we do about transphobic rhetoric taking over, even our institutions. It's horrifying and should be as objectionable to people, like as like it should be, but do you condemn Hamas? But do you condemn, what happened to Charlie Kirk? Yeah. Like, it should be in that same vein with like, sure, you have your opinions, but do you condemn dropping the T slur in Congress? Like, it should be on that level, but I know people don't. They don't view it that way. And somebody said I sounded like a lib for saying that. Excuse me, liberals love money from Israel, so take that back. Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's necessarily a silver bullet. I will be taking to heart the recommendation of like reframing it from necessarily what she's saying in Congress, but turning it into what if she was saying that to me directly, like here and now, and that I feel like that might help me.
Yeah, I think
get through to some of them. So like, yeah.
No, sorry, I interrupted. You keep going.
So it's just. Because it's the rhetoric's been concerning for me. I mean, I do have my own concerns about like the legislation that she was like proposing, because the amendments did pass. I know it was specifically yesterday about trans military and trans family of military. And I've seen people talking about how we shouldn't be so concerned about our military members. And I'm seeing it more from my perspective. My concern is more how the rhetoric itself lends to this precedent of permission. I think like Josie was saying something like that last year, like a permission structure maybe. And that's like, I think like, my bigger concerns. And then like with yesterday, like I was watching the House debate, and it was horrible. I had to decompress afterwards. I took a nap, and then I woke up to the shooting of Charlie Kirk in the news, and it's just it feels overwhelming. And so just finding ways to be able to communicate with my friends and family and to help them understand, I think, like why I'm so concerned is what I think reframing that will help with that.
Yeah, I do want to get Ben a chance to get in here, because I know I've kind of dominated, but this is kind of a big part of why was talking earlier about trying to start doing this like messaging and framing forward kind of approach to these conversations, because so much of our dialogue becomes responding to what Nancy Mace said, responding to what lies they're putting out there, debunking the bullshit they're putting out there. And I think there's a sense in which when you start with that, you kind of like reinforce the lie or reinforce the assumption, because these are all based on like prejudices, right? Like things that exist in the culture, like assumptions about trans bodies. And so when you start with like, oh no, trans women aren't men, like I feel like you're almost priming the person you're talking to with the message of trans women are men. Like you're putting that notion in their brain to start with before you start debunking it. And so I think, I realize again, the left doesn't have the influence that the right does, and this is a big part of the problem, and why having some transparent organizations funding, I will say, leftist creators, left-leaning creators, liberal creators of putting messaging forward instead of always reacting to, I think is going to be better for the long haul, because just the reactivity, it really can kill you and slow you down. Whereas when you're being proactive, I think that kind of stuff has a lot more longevity to it. And being willing to say like, you can respond to what they say, but you should always be leading with your framing, leading with your messaging, and not always reacting to their framing. You know what I mean? So I think that is another big thing. But really, like, I hesitate to encourage people to become social media activists because, listen, you're going to get a lot of hate. It can be really exhausting, and you have to be in it for the right reasons. You cannot be in it for clout. People will see it in your messages. They will feel it radiating off of you, and it will be like, it'll create an aversion to you. But like, if you genuinely care and you genuinely want things to be better, like, we need more voices on the left who are putting this stuff out there as loudly as they can. So, like, for sure, we the more people that are willing to take on that burden should do it. We need it. I mean, we're in very dire straits. Like, this is an all hands on deck situation. But anyway, sorry, I've talked a lot. Ben, did you want to jump in on this?
No, I don't have a whole lot to kind of weigh in on with this. I'm just kind of sitting here learning from this discussion, and like with my talk with Arden kind of beforehand, I definitely think that is a better way to start kind of handling this stuff. We definitely need to do things differently than the way we have.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I will definitely be taking the messaging forward approach. I really like that, and I just want to say I appreciate both of you taking this call. I know it's a hard time and a hard topic that we're all going through, but I personally do feel a little less stressed. So thank you.
I'm glad we were able to help. Thanks for calling, Saren.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. We do have a lot of supers, and we have to end at 5, so we don't have a ton of time to devote to these next 2 callers, but we do want to take you both because you've been so, kind with your time and waiting up for us. So we'll just jump right into it. Alex, they, him in Colorado says, what are questions someone who's questioning their gender identity should ask? So, Alex, excuse me. Sorry, let me start over again for the clip. Alex, you are live on the line with Arden and Dr. Ben. What's going on? How can we help?
Hi. Thanks for having me on. Kind of like the question asked. I'm somebody, I would consider myself very knowledgeable from a logical, almost clinical perspective about trans issues. I spend a lot of time researching it, and I've kind of recently figured out that because I'm someone questioning my gender identity, and I'd be more interested in finding resources and figuring out the kind of questions a person should be asking themselves, exploring with themselves to better understand their own gender identity, especially somebody who grew up in a household where, like cis normatives were pushed on them. Like, if you're born a male, then you're a man and you have to be this way. So also, I guess someone trying to deconstruct some of those thoughts to figure out what they are.
I talked a lot last time, Ben. I would love it if you would take the lead on this one. I can if you want me to. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different for kind of everyone. I think, props to you for exploring this and for being willing to question, because I think everybody should. I think everybody should take a step back from what society tells you you have to be and say, but who am I? How would I be the happiest? And kind of how I came to my my gender identity, at least where it is now, because it's a very dynamic thing. But I took something that was inherently gender neutral. In my case, it was Vikings, because I think they're cool. You could do the same thing with whatever. I'm talking specifically like the fictional Vikings, like not any historical accuracy, because it's really just like wanted to be like the beefy person in the MMO RPGs and stuff, run around with the battle axe. That's really what I mean. But anybody of any gender can run around with a battle axe and wear armor and do that stuff. So it's like, if I take something that anybody can do, like, which character in character creation would I pick? Would I pick the male character or the female character? I'm like, well, I would pick the male character. And so just kind of going down that thing of if everything else was equal, which label would I take? Which like, and this goes not only to your questions of identity, but to your questions of expression, like, or anything that you're trying to figure out who you are. Like, it's just like going through a character creator. Like, which of these options, if any, do you want to take? And do you want to try them out for a little bit? Do you want to embrace them like for the rest of forever? That's up to you. But that was kind of something that helped me out. I think exploring that in video games even like was super helpful for me. Even just like living out who I wanted to be in the little game, and then I would leave and I was like, oh, well, actually, I want to be that all the time. And that kind of spiraled it for me.
Yeah. Oh crap, that resonates a lot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I feel like you just struck a chord because I've been doing that for a while. Yeah, damn. It's one of those things. I think maybe I've been lying, not necessarily lying to myself, afraid to have those conversations with myself. So I guess the other question would be, do you have like any specific people, blogs, books, podcasters, anything like that you would maybe recommend for someone exploring these parts of themselves?
I mean, I think if what you're concerned about is that like maybe you have some like sort of internalized misogyny or transphobia that was kind of like dissuading you from like exploring that as an option. I know for me, what was really, really helpful was reading a lot of feminist literature, like bell hooks and things like that. Just because I realized like in a big aversion to me was the fact that I was raised in an extremely misogynistic household, and was like, oh wow, even though I like rationally believe in the value of women, like there's still just those little things in there, those deeply ingrained sort of emotional reactivity that you get, and kind of learning how to deprogram that was really, really helpful in opening the door for me to say like, how do I want my body to look? Regardless of what it means about my identity label. Like, do I want long hair? Oh, I do. I would really like some long hair. I'd always wanted to be able to like put my hair up in a high pony and like feel it touch my back. Like for some reason that was like a threshold for me of like where I would feel like that was satisfying length for me. Or things like, do I want facial hair? Like I definitely did not want facial hair, and getting it removed was great for me. And none of those things make me a woman, but they were helpful for me in understanding that like my sort of schema, my construct of womanhood that I had built from my life and my childhood and my environment was really matching up to kind of what my ideal self would look like. And then, on top of, spending years questioning your gender, I was like, that's not a very cisgender thing to do. So I am probably something, and that something just happened to be woman for me. But yeah, I know Katie used to do like a really good question on here where it was like something like, if a genie appeared before you and said, I can snap my fingers and transform your body into your ideal presentation, if that would change your gender and you would say yes, you're probably trans. You probably should look into that.
Actually, that was the question that kind of, I guess, cracked my egg, I think.
Yep.
Would be the term. Because I finally answered that honestly out loud, and then it was like, oh yeah, I guess just people don't. Their answer is no. I'd say the same. And yeah, I appreciate the literature recommendation, because I do struggle with this idea that if I can't be this, I guess I can never be pretty enough or woman enough to be a woman. And I think, like, I guess I know a lot of that's my own ingrained misogyny about what
Yeah.
a woman should be, even though, you know, my day-to-day life, I don't think that way. I guess I only think about that way about myself.
I mean, I think there's
So,
a
yeah.
difference between recognizing that women who don't meet society's standards are doing nothing wrong and recognizing that if you're a woman, maybe you're not going to meet society's standards, recognizing how difficult that will be, right? And if it's kind of a fear of how difficult it will be, that's not really speaking to whether or not that is how you feel, right? And so, like, I've told the story. I spent hours sitting in like grocery store parking lots being like, just go in, it's fine, and chickening out and not going in. And eventually it was kind of realizing that I was engaging in the spotlight effect of thinking that people were looking at me and caring about how I looked and how I presented, and not recognizing that lots of women, beautiful, ugly, and everywhere in between, go to the grocery store every single day and nobody cares because everyone's already in their own world and in their own bubble. And whether or not you meet necessarily your standards of what a woman ought to look like or something like that doesn't really change that. Maybe that's how you feel. And so I definitely recommend looking into, like, I loved Janet Mock's 2 memoirs. We mentioned her twice in one episode. Like Redefining Realness, and I forget what the name of the second one is. Anything by Kate Bornstein is really good. Feminist literature like Bell Hooks is really good. Judith Butler's stuff is really good. Judith Butler's can be a little bit high level philosophy language sometimes. So like you might need a dictionary next to you while you read her book because it's too jargony sometimes. Or their book. Shit. I'm sorry. Yeah, anyway, those are some of my recommendations. We do got to move on to the next caller, Alex, but I appreciate you calling, and hopefully some of that was helpful for you. Call us back if you have any updates.
I will, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and both of you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too. Later, Alex. All right, we've got one more call, and then we're going to move on to the supers. I actually have to run to the bathroom, so I'm going to get this call started for you, and then I'll let you handle it.
All right,
So
sounds good.
we're going to talk to Ben/Isabella, pronouns she, her, from Ohio, calling to update us and figure out what to do about going out as herself, and maybe being nervous because of the political climate. So, Isabella, you are live with Arden and Ben. Talk to us. What's going on?
It's actually Isabel with an E at the end, not an A.
Isabel, my apologies.
Yeah, it's okay. But, so last time I called was like a year ago. I think I might have talked to you, Arden. I'm not sure. On one of the calls, I called like twice, like a year ago. So I've been like on HRT and stuff for like a year, but I've only recently been like out publicly at college, and I haven't gone out I haven't gone out as myself any other time, and I'm wondering if I should try to or not because of the current political climate. I don't know if it would be safe for me to or not. Because I feel safe at school, but not just normally.
And is that, can you describe a little bit of kind of what feelings you're getting that make you feel unsafe? Or is it just kind of like a general not knowing what to expect?
I feel like I'm going to get blamed for things that I didn't do, that individuals did, like the trans school shooter or the stuff with Charlie Kirk. I feel like we're getting blamed for that, and then I feel like someone's going to lash out at me for something I didn't do, blaming me for something that an individual did, and that's like scary because I live in a conservative part of Ohio.
Yeah.
So the school is like progressive and stuff, so I feel safe. I feel fine there. But
yeah. So this is where it's not an easy question, and it's something that ultimately you're going to have to make a decision, because as much as I want to tell you like, oh yeah, it'll be fine just living as your true identity in public all the time, I can't honestly say that, and I can't tell you that things are going to be okay as much as I want to. So it's something you're going to have to kind of navigate that on your own. I'm happy to hear that you have people, in your college that you feel safe being yourself there. As you go into your like transition, just in general life, it's going to be like, it's a transition. There's a lot of things that are going to be slow in changing. And there are a lot of negative things that people can do to you because of that. Not saying it's right. They should not be doing those things to you. You should not have to fear those things, but they probably will. And you have to decide for yourself if you are okay taking those risks, and presenting as your true self in public, or if you want to, take it slow for your own personal safety. And either option is appropriate, but you have to decide kind of what risk you're willing to take in that regard. Does that help at all? I know I wish I could give you more like better encouragement.
Because I just started college, so this is my first year, so I'm going to be 2 years and transferring over to the college the next town over. So I live between two colleges, so but I was going to do that, but then that would mean 4 years until I can just be out normally instead of just at college, or like move to a city where it's not as risky or something like that. But that seems like a really long time, and I don't want to have to wait that long. It's already waited super long. Well, I haven't waited that long. I'm only 22 in like 3 days, 2 days.
It's long enough.
But yeah, it's still long enough. But I want to not have to deal with this, but I can't help it. And then in Ohio, it's like every other town is gonna throw shit at you for being slightly different, and it just scares me because I've heard horror stories of people getting violently assaulted. I don't want that happening to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are some things you can do to protect yourself. I mean, don't look into what you are legally allowed to own and keep yourself safe.
We can have pepper spray in Ohio. We're allowed to have pepper spray in Ohio.
Yep, that's great. I also carry pepper spray with me everywhere I go. That's big. I would highly advise you, as tempting as it can be, only because as trans people, getting a job can be so hard. Sex work is the domain in which the most violence to trans people happens. So definitely be very, very careful.
There's a couple times where I wanted to call in. I never did because I was just busy or whatever, but I want to call and talk about how trans people are coerced into doing sex work because the only work that society is okay with them doing is fetishizing themselves.
Yeah.
And then I'm always worried that that's the only thing I'm going to be able to do to eat and have a shelter. And I'm I don't want to have to do that. If I want to do that, I want to choose to do that, not be forced into doing it.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Safe doing it, but
I can tell you that is not the only option for you. Now, I understand that the options can be limited. A lot of queer people are self-employed, but there's other things you can do to self-employ that are equally as lucrative and equally as volatile as sex work can be. So if you're gonna just saying there are other options out there, don't feel like that is your only option. Although I know it is one domain where trans people can really get a lot of money and get a leg up. It comes with a lot of risks psychologically that are not worth it.
The industry I'm going to be going into is the industry I'm going to be going into is really I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's it can be really good or freaking awful. I'm going to school for animation.
Yeah.
So it can be really good for queer people and stuff, or it can be really terrible and it will suck and be the worst thing ever. And so so that's also a thing. It's I want to be able to come out on top in my life, but it's hard to figure out what to do, especially when I have to wait 4 years till I can move out of the state, because the state's not looking good for us.
Well, I'll tell you, being self-employed in the gig economy, because I know a lot of artists end up kind of doing gig work to make ends meet. It's really there's a lot of liberation in it because you can work when you want and you can take days off when you want, but it is also much more demanding than a normal job. I mean, significantly more demanding.
You have so many deadlines and stuff, and you have to be your own. You have to manage yourself and stuff. It's not hard for me because I have ADHD and OCD, so that's gonna suck. But
Yeah.
I have like this dream of like living in the city and then like animating and then going out to like Central Park in New York or something after I'm done animating for the day. Like that's my like long-term goal, but I don't if the country goes to shit while I'm going towards that goal, I might just get up and move to Japan or something. I don't know. I'm
Well, I
also
think that's a
worried that
beautiful goal.
if they start persecuting trans people, other countries aren't going to list us as like refugees, so we don't have that option. So we won't have that option because other countries are also not the best for trans people.
Yeah.
No, but that's something that like okay, there's option like I yeah, that's the majority of the places maybe you've been thinking of, but like there are options for like people leaving the country depending on what you're doing and what country you're looking
Yeah.
at. So that's not a broad thing. Like if you have the ability to look more into that, I mean, I don't know what it is in your particular field is probably difficult because anything like entertainment industries just it's competitive to get a job anyway.
Yeah.
And it's most likely going to require you to live in kind of higher expense areas to kind of get that kind of work, which sucks as well.
Yeah,
but
to get like an animation job in Japan, you have to get like 65K a year or something. Crazy.
Yeah, but there are like but for people in the audience and stuff, there are a lot of jobs that like other countries are kind of taking people from the US for like a lot of STEM fields. The EU's taking a lot of people. New Zealand, Australia are taking a lot of people. Canada's taking a lot of people. And in certain fields, like you can get an expedited permanent residency in those places. So it just you might need to look in the right places.
Yeah, I'm also probably going to be doing a minor in biology, so I could use that to get myself in a good spot and then do animation, which is what I really want to do for my life. But
I don't know if a minor in biology is going to get you a job, in all honesty. Like you're going to need because biology is a pretty difficult field to work in as well. It's hard to work in biology without a master's degree or above. So if you really want to have a backup plan, I think it'd be great. But you'd have some opportunities with a STEM backup plan. But I think you'd need a little bit more of a degree than a minor.
Maybe I'll get like a master's in biology and then a bachelor's in art, which will take me like even longer, but I don't know. I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, and you'll need the bachelor's. You'll probably need a bachelor's in an adjacent science in order to get the master's in biology. So it's something that you just need to think about like what your plans are, and just in general too, is maybe even having a backup plan as far as just if you can't
like job
break into animation. It's but there are options. I think you just might need to branch out a little bit. Hopefully it kind of gets better for you.
I'll have to look into like all the different job opportunities other countries have if I need to do that in the future.
Yep. I'm really sorry, Isabel, because I know you waited, and I appreciate this conversation. We do have to move on to.
I was just about to let you guys go, so that's perfect.
Okay, perfect. Well, call back if you have any updates, and best of luck to you. I'm definitely sorry you're going through this because I feel you very deeply. A lot of empathy, and I know a lot of chat feels the same way. So, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Bye, Isabel.
Thank you. Bye.
Alrighty. We got to get to super chats. I don't have the things up. We have kind of a lot of super chats, so we really can't spend a lot of time on any individual one. But let's get
that's fine.
Cranking through them. You want to go first so I can get some of these things up?
Yeah. Okay. $10 from Zurith Moonpaw. Hashtag Team Arden because Dr. Ben fails to keep super chat promises. I was promised Good Boy. I was not giving Good Boy. The Good Boy deserves a treat at least. Good Boy has been screaming this whole episode, and so he will probably not get a reward after this. I don't want to encourage that behavior. But sorry I didn't give you the dog, but I have to wrangle him sometimes. So maybe when he calms down a little bit next time.
All right, I think our positions are going to be. Somebody said straight people can only eat Jello a while ago. I thought that was funny. Because you said dog people, I said, or you dog little boy, good boy. I went dog people are transphobic and cat people are straight phobic. So those are your poll options. They're probably not good, but
okay.
We're on press time, people. I'm trying to make this work. Okay.
Yeah. We're trying.
All right, so you guys can vote for that. Whichever one wins, we'll defend at the end of this whole thing based on who has the most votes. Alrighty. $10 from Untitled Final V2 this version. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben because we love Dr. Ben. Oh, also, sorry. Let me put that vote in. I think I need to bump the super chat threshold up to like $20 or something because we have very limited time and I can't have a boatload of $5 coming in right now. So yeah, $20 for the rest of the show. Okay. If mods, you could spam that every couple of minutes or so. That'd be great.
This is me again. $5 from Zerith Moonpaw. Hashtag Team Arden because Dr. Ben is a stinky doo-doo butt face. That's fine. You can think what you want about me.
That's Jessica,
Not gonna
actually.
change.
Yeah. Another 10 from this person. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben because he's not a duty face. Cool.
$5 from June Bramley. I'm hearing a rumor that Dr. Ben is a stinky doo-doo butt face, but it also seems that my SCs have been getting super chats have been getting skipped here, and then they're lately hashtag Team RPS.
If you've been sending less than $10 to Matt's show, that would be why. I know a lot of people send 5s to Matt's and then are like, why they're not getting read? And it's like literally on the screen $10 or more. That could be what's happening. If you've generally got missed, you point them out to me and I'll like read them out anyway. Okay, you ready, Ben? Rock, paper, scissors? That's what RPS is. All right, ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. You win,
hey,
you got it.
I got one.
All right. $15 from Zerith Moonpaw. Hashtag Team Arden because Dr. Ben is in fact a mega super stinky doo-doo butt face who has a fishy nose. What? I promise this is all in humor.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Is it just because I didn't show you my puppy? Or is there another reason? Yeah. 10 Canadian from Untitled Final V2 this version. Hashtag Team Ben. Thank you.
$5 from Charlotte. Rumors of Dr. Ben's doo-doo McButt-facedness have been greatly exaggerated. LOL. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. You guys sent a boatload of supers today. I don't know what's different about today.
They just wanted to insult me. $4.99 from Sarah Wilson. Hello, boys. I'm back. Independence Day reference. LOL. I'm working from home the next few weeks. I'm happy to be back live. TACIS. Hashtag Dr. Ben. Thank you for your vote. And welcome back.
Right on. Oh, man. It refreshed and I lost my... Here we go. $10 from Quantos Nachos. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben because I've missed your last few episodes. Here's some money. Stay safe out there, friends. Things are getting dicey. My offer to smuggle you all into Canada stands firm. Even Jimmy, maybe. Thank you.
Another 5 from Zerith Moonpaw. Hashtag Team Arden because Quantum Nachos is a Frodo and doo-doo. Everyone's a doo-doo butt face. I think that's just what happened today. Everyone's just calling each other doo-doo McButt face.
You ruined the humor behind the doo-doo McButt face thing by abusing it.
It's too much.
$5 more from Quantos Nachos. Sigh, I wasn't going to do it, but I fear Arden getting mad at me again is too scary. Hashtag Team Spooky Snack Mom. Please forgive my cowardice, Dr. Ben. Okay, thank you. I'm not getting out any snakes
all this
today.
Drama is.
I know. I was not paying attention.
$10 from June Bramley. Anyway, back to the monad. Hashtag Team Monad.
The monad is not on the board. $10 from Untitled Final V2 this version. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben because we all love Ben as much as we love Arden. True.
Hey. And the monad.
And the monad, for sure.
$5 from Zerith Moonpaw. Last one. Hashtag Team Monad. Hashtag Team Arden. Arden, are you the monad?
Apparently. I mean, it's like the supreme intelligence, though, you know. I guess
you are really of the line. You are the monad. So
Another $10 from
Canadian
Untitled
from
Final Me to
Untitled.
this version. Dr. Ben.
Another one. $4.99 from Ohio Boy 77. Hashtag Team Monad, Zerba, and Praise Doug. We got all the best gods. Yes, our pantheon is the best.
Just imagine them sitting at a round table. A rock, a derpy zebra,
Yeah.
and a like the number one, I guess. This person, Praise Doug, hashtag Team Ben. I'm gonna get more frustrated with your name at each appearance and say it in more exasperated ways each time.
£5 from Mystic Minds Analysis Tavern. The best revenge against CK is organized communities based on empathy and mutual aid. Never expects a fascist to play fair. Hashtag Team Danger Noodle. Yep. Exactly.
True. Oh man, I really need a better way to do this. $10 from this person to hashtag Team Safety Noodle. I think that's me.
Yeah, probably.
Or is that you? Because I'm usually Danger
$5.
Noodle. Are you Safety Noodle?
I have no idea. $5 from Joshua Everett. I just found out that I have to reapply and re-interview for the job I had for 4 years. I'd go full communist. I wouldn't starve to death. Damn, why you gotta re-interview for your same job? That's weird.
Yeah, that really sucks. I'm so sorry. $50. Wow, from ERG. Thank you, very kind. Two of my favorite people in the world right here on the screen. I'm a massive mixed bag of feels today. I at least have a massive trans joy locally. Love everyone on the line so much. Be well, be safe, stay amazing, get loved. Hashtag Team Snack Mom. Yeah, you know, there's still good things happening. I saw Texas withdrew one of its lawsuits against doctors for giving trans care. So that's a positive. I mean, it was kind of because the doctor was like, I already stopped doing trans care, which that's maybe a red flag, but, you know.
Yeah.
Less likely to spiral into consequences for everyone else.
10 Canadian from this person. Hashtag Team Lizard Dad. Hashtag Team Ben.
Okay.
I don't have a lizard, though. What?
I'm still going to give you the point.
I don't have a lizard.
Folks,
I'm not going to get one just for this.
Folks, I did say I will pin it in the chat now, but only supers. Honestly, I'm going to bump it up because we genuinely are super limited on time and there are so many supers still to go to. Only super chats of $50 or more will be read today for the rest of the show. I think Jimmy will accept that we might not be able to dump the audience into his chat in time if we are making a bunch of 50s, but I'm not going to have a bunch of... I'm sorry, I just can't. Yeah. I got too many responsibilities and they are interfering with each other right now. And so I have to enforce some rules, okay? Listen. Thank you guys for understanding.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yes.
10 Canadian from this person. Arden is so cool because she's a producer. Hashtag Team Ben. And she is cool. Whether or not she's a producer.
I still love the hashtag Team Ben there. This fuck. Hashtag Team Ben, not a snack.
Okay. $5 from Joshua Everett. Thanks to the line for being a great community and to TACIS for introducing me to the line. Hashtag Team Put a Button on It. Hashtag Team Arden.
Hell yeah, Team Put a Button on It. We love buttons here. I need buttons to make the score counting thing better again. I just haven't bothered to relearn how to make them. I used to have them ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
$10 from Louise Richardson. You made fun of me before because I said this, but I think the demonstration volleyball or basketball matches with mixed cis and trans players would show the difference between them.
I don't think we made fun of you if that's what you said.
Yeah, I also am not entirely sure what you mean. Like a cis versus trans team or cis mixed. I might need you to call about this. We appreciate the super chat though.
I don't remember. 10 from the atheist mechanic. Stay safe in these weird and uncertain times we are headed in. Much love to everyone on the line, and may we all get back to the monad. Hashtag Team Monad. Hashtag Team Arden.
Yes. One day we all return to the monad. Fucking Mr. Fuckity Fuck over here says hashtag Team Ben Buffy 22, whatever that means.
Buffy 22.
I'm just defaulting to my like stereotypical somebody who grew up like in Rhode Island and moved to New York and now lives in Connecticut and just has some weird homogenous accent of the whole region.
Buffy 22. 10 Canadian from this person. Hashtag Team Pen 835 BB 24. I can't say that as funny as the last one. But
that's pretty good. Zerth Moonpaw, $5. I cast infinite votes for hashtag Team Arden. Well, that's not how that works, but thank you.
Also, it's infinite.
Yeah.
Finite. Makes sense.
Is there a word out there that's finite? That like this is like a pun that's going over my head because I don't have a good vocabulary.
10 Canadian from this person. I cast infinite +1 votes for Team Dr. Ben.
This is just a fight between Zurith and Fuckface over here.
It's okay because I have my favorite Pokemon here today, so we can all relax. Anyway.
Your favorite Pokemon! I love that Pokemon!
Yeah, that's my favorite Pokemon.
Labubu, I choose you.
Labubu.
Fucking fuckity fuck says hashtag Team Ben because it's funny watching Arden defend silly positions. Well, I'm glad my suffering causes you joy. If I can give nothing else to my children.
Yes. $5 from Joshua Everett. Again, thank you both and all of chat mods and screeners for being here today. I appreciate your voices and attempts to educate so many. Hashtag we had a rock, paper, scissors again.
Okay, ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Hey,
you win.
It's me again.
You're crushing me.
I never win the rock, paper, scissors, so today's been good.
This person over here says there's one trans kid on the soccer team and 5 boys who didn't make the cut. Only one of y'all can say the trans kid took their spot. Wait, what? Oh, sure. I mean, they would argue that. I still don't think it's taking their spot. Like, you aren't owed a place on the team. Yeah. I'm sorry you weren't good enough.
Yeah. 5 from Zerth Moonpaw. Y'all remember when they transvestigated Andrew Tate? Anywho, Monad compels the vote and grants its blessing on hashtag Team Arden.
Thank you. Oop, I gave myself 2 on accident.
I feel like the Labubu is hurting my chances of winning.
It might. Oh my god. I need what job do you have? I need that job. Fuck this job. I want to have whatever job allows you to donate this much. $10 from this person. Hashtag Team Ben. God damn, so many supers today, and they're like all Zurith in Untitled V2.
Yeah, 5 from Zurith. Hashtag Team Arden. I did see one from GE in there somewhere.
I think we're getting to it. It's coming up. They slowed down when I was like, okay, I'm putting a big threshold on to slow you guys down because it's getting a little ridiculous. $10 from you know who fucking who. Hashtag Team Ben. I feel like you guys have brought out when I get smarmy, I go to Rhode Island is where my brain goes, my tone.
Uh, 220 of whatever units this is from Alira 1982. I still have to wait for 9 years until I can safely retire and start HRT, etc. Have to hide and save money until then. Wish me luck. Hashtag Team Arden. Wish you the best.
Yeah, for real. That is, God. I mean, it's the reason most people detransition, if they detransition, is because there's environments like this where it's just like you just can't safely do it. And so, yeah, I'm really sorry you're in that position. I shouldn't even dignify this with opening my mouth to speak. That's where you are. That's where you are in my books. My books that I keep.
Thanks for the vote. And again, Roan Seeds, I think I'm talking about the caller, Roan. Seems so cool, hashtag Team Ben. Thank you for the vote.
Yeah, I was a little sus, honestly, because they said they were from Canada, but their VPN indicated otherwise. I know we've been trying to potentially kind of like start telling people in Canada or the US who are in that position to just call in. That way it just kind of dissuades any notion that there's any bullshit there. But he actually seemed to turn out to be a genuine person. So I'm not too stressed about it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said earlier, requested Arden read a super chat like Lois Griffin. I mean, they are Rhode Islanders, and that is... I genuinely knew multiple people who sounded very, very much like that. When you hear someone call a thunderstorm thunderboomas for the first time in your life, you'll never recover. Or when they call a milkshake a cabinet, there's no coming back from that. I'm gonna kill myself. I mean, what? I can't say that joke on the internet. $10 from Untitled Final V2 this version. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. Cool. Thanks.
$10 from Legally Mod. Today is my first day back at work after my BA, the surgery, I'm assuming, in a male-dominated workplace, and I spent the whole workday in my thick office sweater because of the air conditioning on my floor. Hashtag Team Arden.
You're like, I really wish I could show off my new boobs, but it's cold in here. We've got 20 pounds from Jackie Greenland. For the first time in 12 years, I'm not going to Canada this fall. Scheduling reasons mainly, but a little fear on my part too, which is sad, but probably for the best right now. Here's a drink towards when I do get to go back. Hashtag Team Arden. True. I hope you get to go back. I feel like I'm largely hopeful that they're so overstretching their bounds and their policies are so unpopular that I think the pendulum will swing back the other way. But whether it does so in time is kind of the question. Or I'm like, as long as they don't completely destroy things, I think we could theoretically get it back. But they're definitely trying. They're definitely trying.
Mm-hmm. 5 Canadian from this person. Hashtag Team Ben. Thank you for the vote.
All right. Let me get that vote up. This next one is for you, Ben.
Yes. Here, I'll do this one too. $5 from Godless Engineer. Hashtag Team Ben. Give me your best. Flavortown. We're going to Flavortown.
Flavortown. I love it. Wonderful.
Which, on Holy Spirit, sometime soon I will be releasing a rant video by a drunk Godless Engineer, talking about why he hates Guy Fieri. So that's where this comes from.
Oh, I see Jackie said she meant California, not Canada. My bad. That makes more sense. I was like, I didn't realize Canada was... I didn't hear anything new about Canada being intolerable for trans people. I understand now. I think you'd be safe in California, but I still understand the aversion to traveling.
Yeah.
$10 from fucking shit and fuck. I dreamt last night my body expressed itself as a woman instead of a man, and that was cool. It felt right. LOL, hashtag Team Dr. Ben. That was very uncharacteristically sincere of you. I appreciate that. You know? I love when a shit talker suddenly gets like really serious and vulnerable for a second. It catches you off guard.
Yeah. Another 10 from this person. My last super chat. I'm moving to Patreon. Less stressful. Hashtag Team Ben. I mean, it is less stressful, and you do get more out of the Patreon too. So
this person's a fucking liar. You fucking liar. Because the next super chat is you doing it again. You are the worst shit poster. And there's like 3 or 4 more in here. It's funny though. You make me laugh. Even when it's Annoying. $5 from Zerth Moonpaw. Hey Ben, fighter or barbarian? Hashtag Arden Hart.
Depends on the game. I tend to lean barbarian, but fighter's more versatile.
Barbarian is like a more fun character.
Options lead to Labubu.
Options lead back to Labubu.
Back to Labubu.
Matt says, I'd love to help Arden win, but I can't afford it. That's the point. That's the point. Also, that is both. You could use that money to like buy me dinner or something. You know what I mean? Not suggesting you do that.
He'd also rather listen to you talk over me. So
that's probably true. That's probably true.
Yeah.
Not because I'm his partner, but because he hates trans men. He's viscerally transphobic, but only to trans men.
Yeah, yeah.
$9.99 from Tran Vendor. I'm a trans woman who works as a federal contractor. I feel I have a target on my back with the shooting and rhetoric. It has me scared. I hope it's going to get better. Hashtag Team Arden. I mean, I'm going to be straight up with you. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And I know it's gotten worse and we're still saying that. But I think it's just true. We don't have any power or influence. Our best hope is that we get some massive wins in the midterm election and we are able to, at the very best, halt a lot of their agenda. But we're not going to be able to fix the things that they've done. We're not going to be able to overturn the things that they've done yet, even with a massively democratic Congress. You know, it would take like a massive shift where we could like do some overriding votes. So yeah.
10 from this you're not done. You're not done. I mean, we'll take your money. That's fine. Bros need to defend bros. Hashtag Team Ben. Appreciate you. Appreciate your vote.
Bro code. Honestly, I respect it.
La boo boo.
La boo boo. 10 Canadian.
I just think it's so stupid.
It is so stupid, but they're also so cute. Did you see the South Park episode about Labubu's?
Oh, not yet. I need to watch that one.
They released a new one about Labubu's, and obviously still a lot of Trump stuff, and it was really funny.
Yeah.
Hi, Ben/Isabel. Please be safe. Hashtag Team Ben. Awesome. Thanks for the nice thoughts. Again, uncharacteristically sincere. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, lucky you. Lucky you, Ben.
Oh, the lottery. $10 from Mr. Boricua 10. Oh, you sweet. I can't even get into the accent with this. The starting sentence. Oh, you sweet summer child. What in the bloody hell have you got in your head? Are you too caught up in reading your script? You haven't one's honest discussion. What is it that requires you to spew your bile? Hashtag Dr. Ben. I feel like it's easier to do the Cockney accent without the text this way.
Yeah, for real.
Like it'd be easier to read it if it was just regular text.
The honest is what really gets you because they're taking out the H and the T, which is like all the context for what that word is.
Yeah, I'm like, what is happening? But I guess that makes it funny, so.
Yep. That's what they're here for. They're not here for good accents. They're here to laugh at us. Because our audience are also just all shit posters, which, you know, I love that about you guys. 999 from Michelle O. Thank you for this shared space to have myself reflected back. I have a court date for my name. I don't believe it. People say I pass. I'm doing it correctly 80% of the time. I'm hopeful. Oh, I'm so thrilled for you. That's wonderful. Best of luck. And yeah, that's great.
Yeah. $5 from Aliashana Silverbow. My wallet is like an onion. Every time I open it, I cry. Stay safe, everyone. Hashtag Team Arden. Well, thank you for sharing your last bit of money with us. We appreciate it.
I was waiting for a Shrek joke there. They just added Shrek to was it Hulu or HBO? One of them. I just watched Shrek 1 like 2 nights ago because I was like, oh my god, they have Shrek added. I love Shrek. I used to watch Shrek a bunch when I was little. I got obsessed with the soundtrack for the second movie, and my little brother, when he was born, went through a phase where he was obsessed with Shrek. So I've seen Shrek like 800 times, and the whole movie, I was like distracting myself with something on the side and like just saying the lines along with the movie because I knew every fucking thing that happened in the entire movie.
I love Shrek so much.
That's a really good one. I don't know who this is. $9.99 from Shadow. Been questioning my sexuality and being afraid to express it, or just be that way because of other people's beliefs who are around me and how it might affect me. It's just hard. Maybe I'll call in. Yeah, definitely feel free to call in. We're happy to talk to you about that. It's kind of like we've talked to a lot of other callers today about like people are going to judge you. They're going to have their feelings, and you still deserve to be yourself and to access and participate in society just like everyone else. And so there's kind of a, let them judge mentality that comes with it, and understanding that like you are not the main character of other people's lives, and like they're probably actually not judging you because they probably are like way too busy thinking about how they're going to make ends meet and what they want to make for food today, and they're in their own life too.
10 Canadian from this person. My wallet is like a zucchini. Hashtag Team Ben. What? Okay. Thank you for the non sequitur.
It's disgusting unless it's put into like a pot of broth. I don't like zucchinis outside of in soup. 20 Canadian dollars from this fucking person. Hashtag Team Ben.
$20 from Itis. Thanks again for taking my call. What would be your Disney class or party role? Hashtag Team Arden, because she is the first who gave me the courage to start asking myself these questions, Alex. I play bards. I love bards.
I haven't played as much D&D as Ben has. I've had some. I like being a spellcaster of some kind. I like being able to use magic, or being able to be the cool like a rogue or something like that, or a thief, where I can be like an anime like Sasuke style character where I'm like, I don't like anybody and I'm alone. It's cathartic.
Yes.
$20 from Alan Michael. Hashtag Team Rochambeau, because I love you both and no one is a doo-doo poopy or whatever. I don't know who Team Rochambeau goes to. Is that you?
Oh, and so we have to rock, paper, scissors it.
Oh, okay. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, we both papered.
All right, do it again. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
You got it again.
Okay, you've won every single one today. That's kind of crazy.
I strategized.
Fucking fuck.
50 Canadian from this person. Hashtag Team Ben, because it seems like Arden is cheating. How
I mean, you
Arden
came through.
cheating? Like, I'm winning. Like, how is she cheating?
Yeah, Ben's still winning, and it worked. You sent me $50, so, thanks.
Yeah.
And last but not least, $50 from Zerth Moonpod. This is actually 10 $5 super chats for hashtag Team Arden in a trench coat. Also, love you, Dr. Ben. Started as a joke and then became pride, so I am stupid monkey. Okay, thanks. Oh my god.
I'm not offended at all by being a doo-doo poopy head or whatever. Like, it doesn't change my life at all.
I know I said $50 or higher, but this other super just came in that just said Sasuke bottoms for Naruto, and I can't recover from that super chat. I don't even necessarily think you're wrong, but I still can't recover from that super chat. That's really funny. Alyssa Ursus sent $50 saying hashtag Team Arden. Well, I appreciate your last 50, Ayla. That is very generous of you. Unfortunately, I am still the loser by a huge margin. So looks like Ben has won. And what is the thing I have to defend? Straight people can only eat Jell-O. Okay. All right. That is
the Sasuke comment was from my friend, which is totally on par. I will talk to my friend after. That was great. That was fantastic.
That's really funny. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Let me get this set up straight. Oops. Can't see. There we go. Straight people can only eat Jell-O. Host right is the winner and host left is the loser. All right, let's get this stage up and ready. And 3, 2, 1, here we go. All right, some of you may have seen that viral clip from the I've Had It podcast where she talked about, white people who are anti-multiculturalism need to stop enjoying multiculturalism. And, if you're against immigrants, you shouldn't be going to eat at a Mexican restaurant. You should be against that in principle. And so what I'm advocating for is that since straight people are boring and bland, that they can only, for all of the rest of time, eat boring and bland foods, specifically Jell-O without flavor. That's right. I want them to eat straight up gelatin. There is no flavor. There are no fruits in there. It just has the nutrients that you need to survive. All the good, tasty food with fun textures and fun flavors and spices, that all goes to the rest of society. All the queer people, all the non-straights, we get to have all the joy. But straight people really, see, part of the problem is they get so indulgent. Like a billionaire hoarding wealth, straight people hoard all the fun joys of society and think that they belong to them. But in fact, you are boring and bland and without texture. And I want the rest of your life to reflect the attitudes that you have in society in your culinary experiences. I think we've let you go too long thinking that how you act is okay and that there are no consequences. And so now the consequences are going to be that I am putting forward legislation that the government will definitely take up that says that you are not allowed to eat anything but boring, bland Jell-O. I mean, this is like True Blood or something, we only have 5 factories and they make the same boring, bland Jell-O, but it meets all your nutrient needs. So you can't complain that we're depriving you, or really, you're getting everything you need. Just we're not letting you indulge in the wonders of society since you won't indulge in the wonders of human people. Thank you. All right, everybody. Hold on, let me get this all set back up. I want to use these last few minutes to... Hello? Why are my buttons not working? What's going on? Why is this not...
Oh, no.
Here we go. All right. I want to use these last few moments to remind you guys that we do have some shows coming up tomorrow night. It's going to be myself and Fish Stark, the executive director from the American Humanist Association, on Cus I Wanna. Please, please, please show up for that episode. It's going to be really good. I love Fish, and I want you guys to hear what he has to say, because I think he brings something really valuable to this community. And I really would love you guys to see that. So hit that notification bell on that episode. Sunday, it's going to be Matt and Seth in the early show. It's going to be Forrest and Justin from Deconstruction Zone at 7. Erica and Aaron on Skeptalk next Monday. Alyssa and Taylor on Chewed Gum. It'll be Matt and Aaron Adair on The Hang Up on Wednesday. And then it'll be Josie and Lux back here in this seat next Thursday. So with that, everybody, we really appreciate you guys for all your time and energy. If you hang out in the chat, it's automatically going to put you over on Calling It Now over on Jimmy's channel. Jimmy's going to be hosting that with Forrest. So if you haven't had enough conversations on politics and gender, they're going to be doing more of that all day today. So feel free to check that out. Ben, did you have anything else you wanted to add on before we roll out?
Nope.
Right on. Shout out to our call screeners and all of our mods and that really loud sound. And to Labubu. You guys can support us all over on patreon.com/calltheline. Get access to early ad-free episodes of The Line Has a Podcast, our monthly Zoom Q&A sessions, and our new The Line Con online live lecture series. All of that and more over on patreon.com/calltheline. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Peace.